1787 Radio Network.
Well, good morning, St. Petersburg, Clearwater, everybody out in Battle Creek, Michigan. That's a good place to go today. Everybody in Zimbabwe, hopefully you're having a good time. In case you need a language barrier on that one.
Wait. I'm pretty sure that Zimbabweans don't speak like that.
Yeah, they do.
No, I'm.
It's a mix between Morse code and just like this mouth motion. I saw it on South Park, so it has to be true. This is Alex, co-host, Liberty Underground. Danielle is unfortunately not going to be in studio this week. She's taking the week off. She will be back next week, of course, but she is not in here this week. She's roaming around, though, so be careful. In studio with us, right? Well, let me get to the other introductions first before we get to the guest.
Guest?
Yeah.
Guest?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, hold on a second. It's fun. Working the controls as best as he can, and actually has done a lot of new things because your name will be underneath what you're looking at. Is the Prime Minister of all things that are sinister, Greg Bowen. Greg, how are you doing, sir?
Spectacular.
Fabulous. You do.
It's Fabulous Greg and the Unicorns.
Also in studio with us, former Libertarian candidate for governor of Florida. It was a regular on this show until he decided he was too good for us.
Right. Wait a second. Get the introduction right. The founder of the 1787 Radio Network and the Liberty Underground Show.
Okay, what was the show first called?
Well, I decided at that time to call it the Alex Snicker Show. Because you were running for Senate at the time.
Adrian Wiley, how are you doing this morning, sir?
I'm doing great.
You feeling good?
I'm feeling good. Yeah.
Good to hear you
Feeling
good.
a little spunky with the chill in the air today.
Man, it is freaking cold out, though.
Oh, that's awesome, isn't it?
You know, how much is this awesome for, though?
I actually...
It's not awesome for us.
This cold, no. But when you wake up in the morning and it's about, 45, 50 degrees... That's beautiful with the highs of, gets up to maybe 65. That's a perfect day for me.
That's a perfect day for you, huh?
Oh, I love that.
How'd you hear that?
Well, I'm well insulated to begin with. So, the cold weather.
You ain't just whistling.
Yeah. The cold weather kind of, it just seems right. And I'm a native Floridian, so that's kind of weird to feel that way.
That is weird to feel that way because you are a native Floridian. Like, I can understand if someone from the north coming down here and saying that, but you're from Florida and you're like, well, I kind of like this.
Well, I noticed a weird thing that happens with northerners. They come down here and I don't know some of their blood or something like that, but within a couple of years of being 80 degrees, they're putting the heat on. They're wearing parkas when it gets to 60. I don't understand. Go to the beach when that happened.
Well, as a person that knows exactly what you're talking about, because I did move down here when I was a little kid. You get used to being down here so much that it does affect you. I don't know what kind of I don't know what changes in your body for this to go down this way, but there is something that happens though. I really do think that there is. Because I used to be able to take cold better. I mean, I can still take cold pretty well, but it bothers me now. It didn't used to bother me as much.
You are still in shorts.
Well, that's another good point, by the way. Because I refuse to adjust my clothing in order to match the outside weather.
Your OCD regarding your dress code has nothing to do with the climate or anything like that. It's just this is what I wear.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, my OCD dictates those things. It's not the other way around. It's unfortunate for me sometimes, but sometimes it's okay too. We'll see what happens though. Right now it's not too bad. I would not mind putting the heater in here on the bottom for my feet, but I'm not going to be able to do all that just yet. There's way too many wires and levers and buttons and switches all in this place, and adding one heat source to it probably is not a good idea.
We got both of you today. There's plenty of hot air coming.
Ba-dum-bum.
Oh, hold on.
You need to have a rim shot on cue there.
Oh, he's got a bunch of new little gadgets and things of it.
Me Rocky.
Hey, Rocky. Hey, these are my turtles, Cuff and Link.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I
funny,
never
funny.
heard that one before. That's very original there.
Yeah.
Fabulous, Greg.
Fabulous, Greg.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good time.
Well, this is a family show, so the original one that we were going to put up, we couldn't do.
Wait a second. Are we on terrestrial right now?
No, we're not on terrestrial. That's not till hour 3.
Oh, okay. So we don't have to be 100% family then, just within our own personal mores.
Yeah, not
So-
necessarily.
We found that if we don't establish it from the beginning, though, it's very easy to fall into the trap of just carrying it on for 3
And
hours.
we don't want any of those $100,000 FCC fines.
No.
I don't think Lola would like that very much. So.
Yeah, I don't think so. So hopefully everybody's having a good week. I don't know exactly where we want to start just yet. Here's where I would like to start, by the way. I don't know if you guys heard this or not, but there's a blonde woman by the name of Marie Harf who is she's a State Department spokeswoman. Have you seen this woman yet? She's the one that came out and basically said that we got to give the terrorists jobs.
Oh, yeah.
Or something along those lines.
Yeah.
That wasn't exactly what she said.
They just need a hug.
If you raise the minimum wage in Syria, all this would go away.
Well,
Yeah.
So this one first off,
Yes.
would you say that she is the hottest spokesperson that we've ever had?
She's pretty hot.
Like, she is probably the hottest spokesperson that I think that I've ever seen in any administration.
Are we looking at the same woman here?
Marie Harf, this one.
She's hot. The glasses
Yeah,
do
that
it.
one. Yeah, that one. Yeah, that's the right one.
The glasses do it for me.
She's not unattractive, but I tell you what, man, I'd take Condi Rice over her any day.
Oh, what are you talking
Are you
about?
kidding me?
Are you kidding? No. That's wrong.
Back in the
That's
day.
wrong. Back in the day,
Back
you know
in
what?
the
I don't like women with gap teeth, man. I'm sorry. I can't do that.
Michael Strahan's such a good-looking woman.
No, Michael Strahan's not a good looking woman.
You only call him a woman when he's not.
I wouldn't call him if he was a guest. No, that wouldn't be.
Yeah, I got
happening.
to tell you, I wouldn't call him a woman no matter what.
No.
Just in case on the off chance you ever actually see that dude and he knew that. Because that dude, well, he's getting skinnier, though. That happens to football players. They start getting skinnier.
Yeah.
They get out of that weight and they're going down. So he's going down. I don't know how much he's got.
I got a
he's
hunch
still
he
a
could
big
still
boy, though.
probably take me, though.
Yeah, he's a big boy,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
All right, but back to this Maria Harf woman. What she said is not dissimilar to what... I mean, look, the media went in a whole big hubbub about it, and kind of as they should, because it was said, but not really dumb, though, because if you look back, the one thing that she said in some of the follow-up interviews is that, I'm not saying something different than what, like, George Bush said, which, here's the thing. Democrats made fun of Bush all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, now he knew a nuanced position. Like this, they would pick on him for being a dumb guy, right? But now you're going to use him as cover for an intellectual argument.
They almost have to. When you have, these administrations that have operated so similarly that they're going to end up being hypocritical one way or another. There's no other way than to do that.
You know what? You're exactly right. The problem here is this woman, Marie Harf, did say something that Bush said. In reality, again, Bush said it in a little bit of a different way, but the same was there. That we are responsible for giving them jobs. We're responsible for their economies. We're responsible to nation build, basically, is what she's saying.
Where did I sign that social contract that says I'm responsible for?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where I signed that one as well.
Well, to some degree, we are when we went in and bombed the crap out of them and took away all their jobs and their economy and their infrastructure. And
Well, if you look at what happened in Libya, then you actually have a very legitimate point. It looked a lot better before it did than it looks right now. And now they kill a bunch of people over there. Well, maybe we shouldn't have got rid of Gaddafi and installed ISIS.
maybe we shouldn't have got rid of Saddam and installed ISIS.
Maybe we shouldn't have got rid of Saddam. Well, with Saddam, we got rid of Saddam, then we installed ISIS in Syria and had Syria go over there. So, I mean, it's a little nuanced, but
A little nuance, but ultimately we took Saddam away, left a power vacuum, and
And we have to remember that prior to taking Saddam away, we were arming him.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. We've been arming all of them.
Yeah, we knew we had WMDs. We had receipts.
That's the funny part about our foreign policy in the Middle East is that we literally, you can take pretty much any nation and any group in the Middle East, with perhaps the exception of Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, a couple of them. And we have been on both sides of their conflict at some point in time.
Yeah, we've armed all of them at some point.
Yeah.
We have sold them all weapons at some point.
Yeah, and some point very recently. I find that, especially with ISIS in Syria, that is probably the most glaring because it was just a year and a half ago. We were literally talking about ISIS.
Yeah.
Because ISIS and the rebels against the Assad regime, we were like, oh, yeah, they're Assad bad, so these guys, we got to give them money, we got to give them arms. A half later, it's the exact opposite. Now we're trying to help Assad fight these guys. Mm-hmm. It's absolute insanity what we do over there.
It really is absolute insanity. And not only that, is that before, I think it took a little bit more connecting the dots in longer strings in order to actually connect the dots to what we're talking about. Now, it's like very, very close of connecting the dots now. Mujahideen, which turned into Al-Qaeda over in Afghanistan, that was something that happened in the 80s and then was built up in the 90s, so it took a long time to get there. I mean, we armed ISIS a year ago.
Right, yeah.
You know, I mean, it's not that much. Not much time has gone through. McCain took selfies with them a year ago.
Technically, we're arming them now because they're taking the airdrops that we're dropping intentioned for the Kurds and for these other fighters wanting to support, and they're taking them.
Yeah, and they get it on YouTube. You know, we know what we're watching it.
Yeah.
I mean, Gene and Eddie, man, it really does suck sometimes. It really does suck to see what we do. And like we've had discussion a couple weeks in a row now about ISIS, but we have to look back at like we did this. Maybe we didn't do it on purpose. Let me give you everybody the benefit of the doubt and say we didn't do it on purpose. It doesn't matter that it was still done. It doesn't matter your intentions. It matters what happens and the consequences of those actions.
Oh, where you're wrong.
Okay.
That's where you're wrong. And I'm being totally serious here.
No, I know.
In the eyes of politicians, all that matters is intentions. You know, it's the end result is never their fault, only their intentions.
No, that's very true. It shouldn't be that way, and it should be based off of the results of what they were doing. But if that's the case, though, then all of them have to get fired all the time, which would be a very good thing.
Yeah, it would.
I'd love to see them get fired, as much as possible, because, I mean, these people just mess stuff up on a regular basis. It's amazing that we're considered the crazy people when we watch what we watch.
Well, yeah, and we're just logically analyzing the results of these actions, and they can't do that. Our elected officials can't do that. Because if they did, it would take them down to a path to realize that everything they do is essentially wrong, and the best thing that they could do would be nothing. And politicians believe they always have to do something, as long as they have good intentions in doing it. That's why we have the same messes, because nobody ever takes an analytical look at the outcome and say, oh, that was wrong. And that's why we have the foreign policy approach of constantly changing our enemies and always saying the enemy of my enemy is my friend, which is about the worst thing you can do when in reality, all of them are bad guys and we don't actually need to have any direct enemies. If they threaten our shores, fine. But, it just amazes me that when guys like John McCain, they'll pick a side from day to day.
Well, no, and they got mad at. Remember a year ago when we helped out the terrorists in Libya, is that Obama ended up doing something about it, and the argument you'd hear from the Rube and from McCain and from Lindsey Graham was you didn't do it early enough.
Right.
You didn't do enough, actually.
Yeah.
That you weren't bad enough. You needed to go in there and have more ground troops there or do whatever they wanted to do. That needed to happen ahead of time.
Well, and that's what's going on now with the authorization for use of force against ISIS. The only argument going on right now between Republicans and Democrats is how much force.
Well, and the blame goes around is that you should have done something sooner.
Right. Yeah. Or you need to commit ground troops instead of just air attacks.
Yeah.
It's absolute idiocy, and they do not learn.
No.
Never learn.
No. Which is probably one of the scariest things about like a guy like the Rube, is that the Rube really wants to do that, and he can be around for a long time making that happen. Like, we really need to make sure he doesn't. I really again. I hope he decides to run for president though, because that means he ain't running for Senate. Like, that would be nice. I hope he runs for president, gets killed, gets shellacked in the killed. Well, if that happens, I'm not going to be upset about it either. But I hope he doesn't win the election.
Calling Secret Service.
I'm not going to do anything about it. But again, if it happens,
I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to cry if it happens.
I'm not saying I got a bottle of wine in there I'm going to drink because of it. But
I do.
But I do. But runs. I hope he loses, and that way we don't have him in the Senate. Even though in Florida it would be a lot going on in that race. A lot going on the dim side of that race, by the way, which is kind of funny. I don't know if you guys have heard about this yet.
Did I hear rumors that Wasserman Schultz might run for Senate?
Well, yeah, that's the rumor. However, there's some. You know how you have like Republican fighting that goes on, inter-party fighting? Okay, well, this one is actually a Democrat inter-party fighting. And she has angered a large Democrat donor in the state of Florida by the name of John Chaser Morgan. I don't know if you guys remember, but during the medical marijuana thing, Debbie Wasserman Schultz came out in opposition to the medical marijuana. And Morgan took a lot of offense to that and started saying bad stuff about Debbie Wasserman Schultz. And basically, he called her a bully and says, "I eat bullies. I eat bullies for lunch or something like that." And come to find out, and this is how much of a scumbag Debbie Wasserman Schultz is, by the way. I mean, she's really just a despicable human being, which we all knew. But what she did, they sent an email. Her staff sent an email. Basically, the John Morgan's people saying that if John Morgan basically takes it back of the nasty things that he said, then I'll come out in support of the issue.
Really?
Yeah. They got email. John Morgan had the email correspondence on this and just released it. The reason that Morgan released it is because of that Debbie Wasserman Schultz possibly run for the Senate seat, and he wants nothing to do. He doesn't want her running, and he wants like Patrick Murphy running, who's another congressman down in South Florida, the one that took Alan West's seat, I think.
Well, I for one really really hope she runs. That would be just awesome that's material for a good 6-8 months.
Yeah. I hope she runs too, because we're gonna have plenty to talk about.
Oh yeah, that'll be fun.
I got jokes.
I got jokes. In the I hate a lot of politicians, and so in hating politicians, I think that ranking the hatred that I had for them needs to be talked about. And while Debbie Wasserman Schultz isn't consistently like a top fiver, whenever I hear her name mentioned, just the thought of hearing her name moves my hatred to her into the top 5. Like, just hearing that woman offends me on so many different levels, it's not even funny. And she's a moron, and she has a hair like a poodle, and she latches on to people to try to glam media attention. Like, she glammed on to Gabby Giffords, and that chick got shot in the head.
Oh, yeah.
And she was acting like that's her. And, like, for you to do that and then to push an issue forward to show you what a heartless scumbag you actually are, that's what that woman did. What a just nasty. One of the only people that I know that's uglier than they are on the outside.
Which is difficult for her to pull off.
Gotta be. Yeah, which is not easy.
You don't think Debbie's hot?
Not in any way, shape, manner, or form.
Okay, wait a second. You think Marie Harf is hot, but not Debbie Wasserman Schultz?
I think that you're misunderstanding what I said there. I said that the Marie lady is one of the hottest that I've ever seen, and I do think that she is somewhat hot. But Debbie Wasserman Schultz is absolutely not in any way, shape, manner, or form even remotely attractive.
I was playing devil's advocate. She's rather frightening looking, and she looks like you wouldn't want to touch her hair because
I don't want to touch anything.
You would have to like have a degreaser standing by or something like that.
Yeah.
What is going on with that woman's hair?
And you'd probably get tangled in it like a spider web. Wouldn't be able to get out.
Yeah,
if you touch it.
it's a trap.
It's a trap.
Yeah, I don't like her. I don't like her very much at all. She is very, very annoying to me.
All right, well, do you think that, and I generally tend to class politicians into two camps, and the evil. And, the stupid go out of their way to try to make you think they're smart, and they always fail miserably. And the evil usually go out of their way to try to convince smart people that they're stupid so that they don't find out that you're evil. But what do you classify her as, evil or stupid?
You can't have both, right?
No, got to be one or the other. One's got to be the prevailing.
Oh, evil.
Now, I would have to put her in the stupid category.
I would put her in the stupid category.
Yeah.
I don't think she's evil. I don't think she has malicious intent. I think she's just too dumb to figure out the right way to go.
Yeah, I would say that too. I would actually put Rubio in that camp as well.
The stupid category?
Yeah.
Oh, come on now.
No, I think he's just stupid.
No. Rubio's evil. That's for sure. Around the evilness that is the
Evil is not his prevailing, thing. He's just stupid and it interest.
I'm gonna have to go with evil on this one, though.
I would have agreed with you back during the campaign. I would have agreed with you that he's just stupid. But now seeing him in office and what he does and what he says, he's evil.
He might be actually making the transition to evil. I'll give you that. Schultz just. That woman, I don't understand how she dresses herself.
Well, not very well.
I don't know that she does. Maybe she's got a staffer to do that.
How do you get without putting a fork in your eye?
Right.
I don't like her at all.
Yeah.
I really don't. I can't do it. I can't even do it. I can't even remotely do it.
So wait a second. You started to go into something that I was interested in. You said that there's some infighting on the Republican side for the who's going to run for Senate. So what have you heard there?
Well, hold on.
Or on the Democrat side?
On the Democrat side.
Oh, I thought you said on the Republican side.
Well, no. And on the Republican side, it all depends. I mean, that problem there is... Well, let's finish up the Dem first. So the problem that happens with the Dem side is, at least the way the Democrats are describing it, and again, I don't care. I don't like either one of them. But Debbie Wasserman Schultz is much more liberal than Patrick Murphy is. Patrick Murphy's voting record is much more of a moderate and not of a hardline liberal. So poorly in the primaries in Florida, but would do better in the general election. So if Wasserman Schultz gets into this thing, because she has more of a hardline record and because she's the spokeswoman for the DNC, and there's at least the majority of the Democrats that vote in primaries just probably will vote about as stupid as the ones that vote in Republican primaries. She'll win that primary, and then she'll go up against whoever the Republicans bring up. And that could be...
I don't necessarily agree with that. It depends on how the media treats her. And the media doesn't seem to like her much.
Well, here's the thing. You pissed off Morgan. And look, I don't like John Morgan, but I wouldn't... Well, I would piss him off, but...
What are you talking about? We have pissed him off.
Yeah, I called him a name during today.
We've gone out of our way to piss him off.
But if I was a Democrat, I wouldn't want to piss off John Morgan because John Morgan's a big... here's the thing. The reason that Debbie Wasserman Schultz got mad with Morgan is because the guy was medical marijuana. Like, why would you do this? You're a Democrat. Aren't you supposed to like marijuana too? Like, isn't that supposed to be okay with? I mean, other than being like, what's funny enough on the Democrat side is the crackheads are the ones that don't like it. Like, Darryl Roussan's a crackhead. He doesn't like, medical marijuana. And I say being a crackhead not as a pejorative term. I use that as a
accurate
statement of fact because the guy was a crackhead at one point.
Well, to your point about the primaries, that Murphy's the moderate and she's the liberal, so Murphy doesn't really have a chance in the primary. I mean, doesn't our recent gubernatorial race show that that's not the case? When Charlie Crist trounced Nan Rich in in the primary there, and Charlie Crist ends up getting the nod and not Nan Rich, when Nan Rich was really the liberal, and Charlie Crist, at best, you could describe him as a moderate.
Well,
There's other dynamics there as well.
There are.
yeah, that's
the
the
money
other,
never got behind Nan Rich for some
True.
reason. So
the money's going to be coming from Wasserman Schultz. Wasserman Schultz will be the money in that one.
And part of the reason for that, I think, is I disagree vehemently with Nan Rich's positions, but I think she's a fairly honest and fairly ethical person, and I think that's why she's wrong. But she's honest and ethical about it, and I think that's why the money didn't get behind her, because she was harder to buy than Charlie Crist. Charlie Crist, you got $5 in 5 minutes, and basically you can change his policy.
Yeah, everyone's harder to buy than Charlie Crist.
So why the money didn't get behind Nan. So it wasn't, I don't think it was as much as, that is a good example of it.
Yeah. No. You're right about that. I mean, on the Republican side, though, we have no idea how that one's going to turn out. What you have right now is you got guys like Weatherford, who aren't up there anymore in Tallahassee, have done their time in State House and State Senate, are a up-and-coming person, proven that they can be bought and paid for. So the establishment definitely likes guys like that. You got Putnam after this election, he might run for governor.
I think he's going to run for governor.
But so you don't know what's going to happen on the Republican side. I would like to see. Well, I don't care who side or the Democrat side at the end of the day, other than maybe for some, like you, Councilman Schultz. I mean, if she does run for that seat, it will provide a lot of content, and so that's, I guess, a good thing.
The show prep will be easy.
Wait a second. When you said Debbie Wasserman Schultz and seat, all I could picture is the Soul Glow scene from Coming to America. That seat's going to have a big stain right where their head is. Whatever seat it is, you'll know Debbie Wasserman Schultz has been there from the grease stain.
From the grease stain. That's so wrong.
It's true, though.
No.
True.
100% true. Just wrong. That's all I'm saying.
That was Adrian Wiley, folks.
Yeah. WileyForGovernor.com.
The opinions of Adrian Wiley do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the 1787 Network.
Yeah, they do. Don't lie.
Okay.
Well, in this one, you might be right.
Yeah.
All right. So, what else, Adrian? You got something you want? You're the guest, so as a way to.
I'm not a guest here.
Okay.
Yeah, you
I
are.
am reclaiming my position as co-host and co-founder. Just for the week, but I'm reclaiming it.
For the week? Isn't that what a guest does? Show him the knife.
I got my stabbing knife.
You got the stabbing knife.
Wait a second, you're threatening me with a 3-inch blade?
Elmer Fudd's got the double barrel shotgun.
You better bring out a katana or something.
What are you, ninja? All right, Adrian, then let's say it this way. What would you like to discuss? What current event going on right now tickled your fancy?
Well, yesterday, something came out that really underscores what we were talking about earlier with our foreign policy, with our switching side, with the lies, and this is a perfect example because the New York Times released an article saying that back in 2005, 2006, the reason that we never found WMDs in Iraq is because the CIA actually covertly bought them all and destroyed them. And this is so bizarre on so many levels. The only thing that you can take away from it, is either that they were lying then, government officials, several current government officials, some of them anonymously, that this piece is a total fabrication. And it makes you question everything that the government, tells us. But it could be another example of how, the current is trying to, after attacking the Bush administration, which the Bush administration did everything wrong in foreign policy, the Obama administration is doing everything wrong in foreign policy. The Obama administration is so closely mirroring the Bush administration, there seems to be a concerted effort underway to go back and repaint the Obama administration, now that there's no longer an election to get through, as, oh, well, in retrospect, yeah, they pretty much did the right thing. And it is so amazing to me how so many people just give that a pass. How so many people just say, oh, okay, all right. Obama supporters that are like, oh, well, I guess it's okay now. It's so disgusting to me that this sort of thing happens. Now, I have no idea. I have no idea what happened to Saddam Hussein's chemical weapons. I don't know if he destroyed them like he told the UN. I don't know if the CIA bought them. I don't know if they were shipped to Syria. I don't know if he never had them to begin with. Who knows? But the fact that they are demonstrating now that we've been lied to at some point or another it's just astounding to me. How can we believe anything they say at this point?
We can't and we shouldn't.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, which does make it very difficult for us when it comes to foreign policy, and to be able to have the libertarian discussion on foreign policy. In some ways, this makes it easier, but in some ways, it makes it more difficult. And the reason that I say it makes it more difficult is because
children,
people have to understand how deep the lie goes. And right now, I don't understand how deep the lie actually goes. And that's unfortunate, because I wish people could understand that even some of the most basic things that you think you don't know, because they've been lying to you. They have been lying to you for a long time. They're going to continue to lie to you now. They're lying to us about ISIS. Again, tell the truth of how these guys were armed. And they won't tell us. They won't really admit the truth of how they're armed.
No.
Oh, we're passing notes in class now?
Yeah, well, that's how we got to do things.
I'm gonna take those and read them before the entire class.
I got you.
You can let him read that. He needs to. Too.
He'll need to anyway. All right. Well, let's go ahead and let's take a break. And when we get back, let's continue this discussion. But we do got to take a little bit of a hard break real quick.
You're listening on the 17 Radio Network, and we'll be right back.
Call the program. The number is 1-800-525-4032. Refresh Telecom. 1-800-525-4032. Before the break, we were talking about foreign policy and also how, what's the word for it? No sound for commercials, by the way.
No sound for commercials. Yeah. Okay. I'll look into that.
Look into that. All right. But we were talking about how it is difficult to have of foreign policy with people to understand our point of view, unless you understand that you've been lied to. Like you that has to be the premise of it is that the government's lied to you. I think it almost has to be like the beginning. You've been lied to about what we're currently doing. Because unless you know that part, then the rest of it doesn't make sense.
Well, with stories like this, the CIA bought and destroyed the WMDs, I think every time something comes out, more and more people realize it. So, in essence, that's a good thing, and that'll eventually lead to policy changes, I hope. But it's amazing how so many people just accept that and go, oh, wow, that's news, but why didn't they tell us that at the time? We were there. We could have easily said, we've gotten our hands on the WMDs. Here they are. They're all going to be destroyed. Why didn't they at the time? Why did they leave that, if this story is true, and again, we don't know if this story is true, but why would they leave it hanging out there? What was the purpose of that? Why would they conceal that information from us? And again, it just, when things like this come out, some people will say, oh, well, that's just accepted. I think our listeners, are going to say that, oh, well, here's another example. Then you have to dig that one step deeper and try to figure out which story is the truth and then the why of it. And I don't know that information yet.
Well, I do think that is one of the reasons that libertarians are attacked, not given media, not given even footing against the neocons and the neocons and the Democrats and the Republicans. Why they're not given the equal? Because so many people are, for lack of a better term, on the take on it.
Yeah.
The military industrial complex is so expansive and so huge that they've gotten almost everybody on the list there
right
is all part of it. And then they're not really a part of it in a, like, they bring everybody into one room and say, here's what we're going to do. They kind of treat it like terrorist cells. You know what I mean? Different cells are doing different things. They don't know what the other cells are doing. And they just do their job, and they probably don't even know the rest of the stuff.
Well, it's goes back to my theory on politicians. Stupid in on it. The stupid will just go along whatever they're told. That is, and that's what camps they fall into.
Yeah, well, no, and there might be a little bit of truth to that. It's the same thing that Milton Friedman was talking about this when he explained Ralph Nader, is that he didn't question Ralph Nader believed in what he was saying. He just thought that he was a patsy to get other laws passed. Like, a group of people have a problem that's going on, and they say, well, we're going to go to the government and fix the problem. They give it to the bureaucrats. The bureaucrats put together what they are telling these people is what the fix to the problem is, but it actually doesn't fix the problem at all. They think that they're done. The crusaders think that they're done, and they move on to the next thing and leave the implementation of what they're talking about to the politicians who had no intention of actually fixing the problem that they were complaining about to begin with.
Well, they're inadvertent participants in dialectic,
You're not allowed to say that on the air.
Did I go too libertarian on that one?
That was way too.
That was way too bookish.
Yeah, that was way too.
I believe the FCC is going to ding us on that one.
Yeah.
If not, Dennis Miller definitely will.
Yeah. I love that guy, by the way.
He's the most humorous neocon out there.
Yeah.
He's the funniest neocon they got. He's a funny one, but he's a straight up neocon though. There's no getting around with Dennis Miller. Dude is neocon.
I like him for entertainment purposes.
He is funny for entertainment purposes, but again, that's the problem though. He's still a neocon though. These people are problems.
I would laugh if I wasn't crying.
It goes to show you what's going on with Russia and with the Ukraine, Crimea, or whatever you want to call it. Another bad situation that's going on over there. I mean, really bad.
And that's actually what could potentially turn into world.
Yeah.
That's the situation that we really need to keep our eyes on and be careful about where we get involved and how we get involved, because this could escalate very bad. Area from which the world wars always spawn.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm much more concerned at this point in time about Russia than I am anything going on in the Middle East, because virtually nothing in the Middle East has the potential to affect our shores, so to speak. The situation with Russia, and especially with them stepping up their bomber patrols off of our coast, they are really flexing their muscle. They've been sending, in fact, last year they sent a nuclear sub into the Gulf of Mexico. It was literally, for a time, parked off Tampa. They are really, they're sending us a signal to stay out. The question is, and with the Ukraine, you have to look back at the recent politics in there. Obviously, Ukraine was part of the Soviet Union up until the early 90s. The seaport there in, what is the name of the port, Greg? I can't recall it right off the top of my head. On the Black Sea there, in the Crimea.
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm at a loss for the name
But
as well.
that's-
It's not in a language I speak, so it's
Yeah.
difficult.
But that particular Black Sea is one of the Russian Navy's only access, and they worked out a deal with the Ukraine, but there were some issues there. So we have to understand that this is some really internal politics for the former.
The port of Kaffa, is that?
It's not Kaffa, no. I can't. It's on the Crimean Peninsula. The name of the port escapes me right now, but so really, kind of taking the right approach in the Ukraine and saying, well, let's leave that alone. Now the question really becomes is how far is Putin going to push it, and at what point do we have to say, okay, that's too far with NATO, and we have to do something about it. And it is a horrifying thing. My personal position is, that unless those bombers are coming into our airspace, that we kind of sit it out. But if they cross that line, we shoot them out of the sky. That is a very dangerous situation. And we talked about this briefly. And this hasn't got a lot of news, but China is actually making a lot of overtures towards taking Hawaii. And that's
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even hear about this.
Oh yeah, there is actually a kind of a separatist group in Hawaii, believe it or not, that wants to restore the kingdom of Hawaii. Mm-hmm. They want to secede from the Union and restore Hawaii to a sovereign nation. Under the I always forget the king's name of Hawaii. I think it's Kamehameha, but I'm not sure if I'm pulling that from Dragon Ball Z.
That's a language I'm even less familiar with.
Yeah. But what's happening now is the Chinese are actually funding and offering to arm the separatist group in Hawaii, and they've made statements saying that we would like to take Hawaii, and this is not getting any media whatsoever. And that's a direct threat to a U.S. state.
And that movement's pretty much been going on since these people have always wanted it to go back to its sovereign state. But now they're getting support from outside nations that could technically be considered our enemies.
China is making an effort to turn them from a peaceful political group into a militant revolutionary group to overthrow Hawaii. So,
I did not
Alex,
know
you're
this,
giving me a
by the
look
way.
like you weren't familiar with that?
Not at all, dude. I had no idea
okay.
about this one, man. Good thing I don't ever go to Hawaii, but
But
it's so far away.
here you have, with all of our distractions in the Middle East, you have actual threats to our borders going on from two major that are virtually being.
Yeah, and Russia is stepping up what it's doing in Latin America. They're going into Venezuela and trying to help them. They're trying to reopen their intelligence facilities in Cuba. So it's not like Russia is not taking steps that are much closer to home than people like ISIS in the Middle East. We have the threat of terrorist events from groups like ISIS and what's going on in the Middle East, but we have threats of all-out war from Russia and China the way things are going right now.
Yeah, and those are the real dangerous ones. And looking at it from the perspective of and this is where libertarians get a bad rap. Libertarians always get a bad rap because people want to say that, oh, you're pacifists and you don't believe in a strong national defense. No, libertarians look at the current situation and say, we are overextending in the Middle East right now, and we are not protecting the people of the United States here in the United States. Most libertarians say, let's defend our nation. And now when we're in a position of where we have actual threats to our borders, they're being completely ignored, and everyone is focused on, Islamic revolution in Syria and Iraq, and that is it's the most idiotic thing that you can do. It's kind of like going 2 blocks away to make sure that somebody's house doesn't get broken windows when you do it.
Yeah. That's and that is what we're doing. I mean, big time. We're totally doing that. I mean, the borders are porous. I mean, and again, if we're under the threat that you're talking about, then they shouldn't do that anyway, but they are. So it's, the threat's a show. And again, they funded the threat.
Well, and here's the thing. From China's perspective, this is a tit for tat. This is a response to our position of arming and defending Taiwan, because China views Taiwan as as part of the nation of China, whereas the United States has recognized Taiwan's independence, has arms. We have a pact with them. So if China ever does decide to repatriate Taiwan, we are bound by treaty to defend Taiwan. So what China is doing at this point, while it is a to us should be dealt with, you have to understand from their perspective, it is a retaliatory to a situation that they believe is identical with Taiwan.
Well, yeah. Boy, if we can get you some cooler heads to prevail in Washington, boy, we'd be good.
But the thing is, it goes back to our history. Our history of intervention has put us in this position. If we just didn't intervene in Taiwan in the first place, China would say, oh yeah, there's that real nation across the pond, we better leave them alone. They would take the same approach that Yamamoto did in World War II when he said, well, we can never invade America because there's a rifle behind every blade of grass. But when we do this interventionist foreign policy, there's always a backlash. We're seeing it in the Middle East. Every single year there's something different going on in the Middle East because of it. Now we've got issues with superpowers who can literally the United States.
Yeah, we're in a lot of trouble, folks. In case you didn't know.
Hey, I thought I was coming in here for comic relief. What the hell just happened?
Well, I'm looking for it, man.
I bummed myself out, man.
I didn't know about the damn Hawaii thing, so I mean, you're bringing that stuff up. That's on you.
Ruined his vacation.
Yeah. Oh man, that is nasty though. All right, let's get to something. Let's get to something else. And I don't know if you remember this woman or not. You remember Joy Ann Reid?
No.
During the campaign, I don't know if you remember this or not, there was a woman, she's from Florida.
Okay.
She did the Reid Report.
Okay.
Now, she was a lefty, but she would cover us during the campaign.
Okay.
She ended up getting a show on MSNBC, and they've just canceled her.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, their ratings are so bad over there, they had to cancel her. Now, the ratings are bad for all of the TV, everybody's going down and somewhat are all going down.
Well, sadly, Fox News is still on it.
Well, yeah, but it's kind of like what you said the other day, though. You were driving around the other day, and you had said that you were listening to
Oh yeah, and
some right wing. Who are you listening to? Well, explain the story.
I was, I was in the car. That was actually yesterday, I think. I was driving around, and when I'm in the car, I tend to listen to talk radio. A lot of times I listen to The Bone because they're just entertaining as hell. I like those guys. But yesterday I was flipping back between NPR and some conservative talk for as long as I could tolerate each. And my comment is it's amazing how they can have completely opposite positions on the issues and both still be wrong. They always draw the wrong conclusion, and it's kind of the same thing like the politicians. They take a very micro approach to each issue instead of backing up, looking at it in context, and truly, basically what they both do is they attempt to mold every issue to fit their ideology. And it's always boils down to their individual ideology or whatever ideology they're paid to espouse, as opposed to backing up, looking at the big picture, and really attempting to get a solution. And it's the same we talked about for years. Everybody just wants to band-aid the problem at hand, and nobody really steps back and says, what's the root cause? How do we solve the root cause of the problem? And it's each of them have a completely different opinion on what to do, and they're both wrong, and neither of them solves the problem. It's truly an astounding thing, and I think that's the direction we've gotten in the whole. There's either position A or position B. There's left position, right position, and those positions are well established. And if you're on the left, you have this opinion, and if you're on the right, you have this opinion. And when in reality, there's always more than two options.
Well,
there's
and
always
typically
more than
those two options
solutions.
are wrong.
Yeah.
No, they are. I mean, it's like the gay marriage debate. One side's like, well, we got to have, you got to accept it. The other one's like, we got to ban it. The third one is the government shouldn't be dealing with it anyway, no matter what. And that's the one position that everybody should be able to. It's like that's the compromise. It's
Right.
Like, I don't need you to say okay for marriage, and the government won't recognize it. We just take the stick of gum away from everybody.
Yeah. Well, that, or give it to everyone, depending on your perspective.
Well, the government ain't giving you the stick of gum.
That's right.
If you want to find that stick
Everyone
of gum
could go
yourself,
buy their own damn stick.
Yeah, buy your own gum. I don't care about that. But just stop, knock all the other crap off. And I wish they would, but it's too many times these people just refuse. They're like, well, that argument's crazy. The only one that makes any sense.
Right.
How is the only thing that makes sense considered crazy? But it is. Because it stops everybody from being able to raise money, keep them in fear, keep people divided.
When you think about it, the left has a problem, and the left says we should do this, and the right says we should do this, and libertarians generally say, well, what you did 5 decades ago caused a problem. Stop doing that, and the problem is solved.
Yeah.
Most government solutions are in a response to a problem caused by a prior government solution.
Yeah.
Well, that's the problem. To your point, they're not looking for the solution unless it proves that they are correct. They have to be right. And if the solution doesn't at the same time prove that our ideology is right, then it's not the solution, because part of the solution is proving that we're right.
Or if they into a quagmire where they have to do both, then you get a story like you get in the New York Times yesterday. It turns out that the guys who were on the opposite side last time, they were right all along and they did the right thing. Yeah. They rewrite history to get to the point where they don't have to face that dichotomy.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's very, very true. That pisses me off.
It does.
All right, but before we go for the break at the top of the hour, have you guys seen this H&R Block commercial about get your billions back, America?
Uh-huh.
You guys have seen this, right?
Yeah.
I've seen this commercial, and every time I have this thought that runs through my head every time. How about you just let America keep their billions? Like, I think during tax season next year, that basically says, why don't you just keep your billions, America, and quit giving it to the government? Because if this is refund season, then they didn't need your money to begin with. So why don't you just go ahead and keep your money? Or something along those lines.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that commercial annoys, and I can't really put my finger on why it annoys me, because I don't blame H&R Block for trying to get people's money back, but the whole concept just frustrates me. I find myself catching up when I see those ads.
The one that makes me mad, and it really pisses me off, is the one showing the American Revolution and British are in the boat off to the side. They're like, but what if it's free to file your taxes? And they're like, oh yeah, okay, that one. Oh man, that one infuriates me.
I only saw that once, and oh man, that infuriates. Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
I was like, oh hell no.
I actually saw someone post, and I forget who. I'd love to give credit where it's due, but I forget who posted it. Said that if you compare King George to today, they'd far rather live under King George's rules.
Oh yeah,
in 1775.
Yeah, the taxes really were not near as bad as they are now.
Yeah, people were having to pay like 3%.
Yeah, you're talking.
There was no income tax; it was just on certain items.
Yeah, like comparatively, it's pennies compared to what we pay now, and that's really what it was. That's why there was so little support in the colonies for this fight, because they're like, we're talking about a penny on my tea. Why should I get upset about this?
Hey, somebody get Queen Elizabeth on the horn for me. I think we're just going to say, yeah, come on back. We're you were right.
Seems to be working for Canada.
Yeah, it was better for you guys,
Canada.
Yeah.
That's a good time. Seems to be working for Canada. Unbelievable. All right, well, let's take a break. We'll get to in the next hour.
Admit it, we have no idea.
Yeah, well, we'll find out.
That's last week's show prep you're looking at.
Website is 1787.com. We'll be back.
Hi, this is Barry Johnson, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with cameras. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join the fight at www.thecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
If you received a ticket in Florida, contact Oropesa Law Offices, 800-774-9883 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised about your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 20 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit tacklemyticket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find more at tacklemyticket.com. Mention Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
You know Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal at the following convenient locations: Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza, St. Pete on 66th Street just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix, and be sure to visit their newest location at 3595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
When the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind them. Auto Owners Insurance has been recognized as customer satisfaction with the auto insurance claims experience 5 years in a row by J.D. Power and Associates. For award information, go to jdpower.com. Call Row Insurance in Newport Richey today at 727-376-0030.
Welcome back to the show. Alex had to.
I was going to let the music run.
Oh, well. See, I gave you the signal and you just sat there staring at your screen. So
I'm looking for content. I'm rusty at this thing.
it's difficult doing it on the fly, doing no show prep.
Yeah, especially since I'm out of practice. I think I've only been on the radio like 2-3 times since the election, so kind of out of practice. But
got to get your sea legs again.
Yeah, but I'm feeling pretty good since we briefly kicked Alex out of the studio, and I've retaking my rightful place as the host of the Liberty Underground show.
The host that brought us back from break.
I just let the music roll. I wanna talk about puppies.
Puppies?
I want to talk about puppies. Yeah. And I don't think I told you guys this, but all right, goodbye. Go ahead. And I'll let you back in.
Shut up.
You're welcome. We got a new puppy. Rescued a boxer mix from the pound. I got to tell you my wife, Mrs. Wiley, is a really, really cool cat. For Valentine's Day, she's like, what do you want to do for Valentine's Day? I'm like, whatever you want to do, honey. She's like, let's go to the track.
To the dog track?
To the horse track.
He comes back with Santa's little helper.
I'm like, yeah, let's do that. So for Valentine's Day, I took my wife to Tampa Bay Downs, and we spent the afternoon betting on the horses, and we broke even. Did all right. We won an exacta, which was pretty cool.
What the hell's an exacta?
That's when you pick the horse that comes in first and second.
Oh.
Yeah. So we hit an exacta, which was cool, which pretty much paid for the rest of our losings for the day. And on the way home, she's like, let's stop by the Humane Society. I'm like, really? Cool. I love dogs. So we rescued a boxer pup. Ever to introduce her to my existing neurotic shepherd mix. But that's very, very interesting.
How's that relationship going now?
They are very good friends, but they play very, very aggressive. It's like their playtime. They will spend hours just mock ripping out each other's throats. It's the strangest thing.
It's kind of like you two.
Yeah, exactly. So and they have great time, and they never fight. There's never any blood drawn or anything like that. But that's how they play. They just sit there and take turns, like pretending to rip each other's throat out. Which is a very strange.
To get Mikey a dog, but he really doesn't like dogs, and I really don't like dogs either.
Yeah, you're not a dog person.
No, not particularly. I don't hate them. I just don't want to own one, and I don't want to be near one.
I'm kind of the same way. My son really wants a dog, and I'm not a dog person. I'm a cat person, to be quite honest. And I like other people's dogs. I like dog when I come over to your house. I'll play with your dog and stuff. But I really don't want a dog of my own. I like my furniture. I like the carpets the way they are. I want to know what the contents of the stains are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a bit of a trade-off, I have to admit. But I've had a dog all my life. Dog actually saved my life one time.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How did a dog save your life?
I'll tell you.
What is Old Yeller?
dog and a big Weimar, pound Weimaraner. Used to take that dog everywhere. Great dog. I just immaculately trained, just intelligent. And one time I was walking through this creek, and I hit a patch of, and I sucked in up to about my groin. Couldn't get out. And the water was up to my chin. It was an incoming tide, and it was one of those creeks. It's a tidal creek, so it was a fast incoming tide. And I'm yelling, and I cannot get out of this thing, and there's nobody within earshot. And the dog actually kept coming up to me and finding a solid patch and would like lean his neck in so I could grab his collar one direction, and then he'd walk way around the quick mud to the other side and pull me the other direction until he wiggled me out to where I could break free and crawl out. But if the dog wasn't there, literally it would have been like a tortured death as I couldn't get out of the mud. As the tide came in, I would have drowned. So, yeah, dog saved my life. So, yeah, I do like having dogs around. Plus, they're the best, absolute best home security you can have.
Yeah.
They will let you know if anyone is pulling into the driveway, coming up to the house. So, there are a huge benefits to having it.
Lassie, Adrian fell in the well?
It was like that, yeah.
What's that? No, say it in English. you know I don't speak Spanish.
Not even mad. I'm impressed.
There you go. I filled for you.
There you go. I appreciate that. It still hurts, though. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah. Alex has a toothache today. So.
Yeah, oh, yeah. It's hard to focus on anything else other than that. And I took a pain pill, but it really has not kicked in the way I would like it to have kicked in right now.
Need to do a shot.
They probably better.
Or stronger pain pills.
Yeah, or stronger pain pills, I guess. I don't know. I really do want this pain to go away, though.
You got some pliers? I mean, we take care of it on
Take
the
care
air.
on the
Yeah.
Oh, an on-air tooth extraction.
Yeah, we're not going to do that.
That sounds
That'd be
fun.
awesome.
We're not going to do that. That's
Yeah,
not
let me
gonna
do it.
happen.
Come
No,
on. Please.
No.
That would be fun.
No, we're not going to do that this week.
Can we waterboard you?
No, but we still got to set that up, though. Beza
yeah.
still wants to be waterboarded, by the way. He really does. And look, part of me wants to do it, but part of me really doesn't want to do it. I don't want anything bad to
Beza
happen
has agreed to do it?
Oh, yeah, totally.
I thought Marcus was going to do it.
No, Beza. Not Marcus.
Cool.
No,
Okay.
Beza's agreed to do it.
The interesting thing is we have a list of people that want us to waterboard them on the air.
Yeah. Yeah. That doesn't sound fun to me.
Well, it's not fun, and I don't think these people think it's fun either, but they almost want to be able to say it in order to say that they got waterboarded so they can use it as an argument later on. Like, that's a little crazy. Don't get me wrong. I understand the point of it, but it is still a little crazy to be like, I want to be waterboarded so I can talk to other people about bad foreign policy on our part.
Yeah.
Now don't get me wrong. That's some dedication to the cause, though. If you really want to be able to make an argument and be like, I'm going to get waterboarded so I can be able to make a better argument against waterboarding. Something to be said there.
Yeah, we got to give Beza a call. And if you don't know, we're talking about John Beza, who was the head of security for Ron Paul.
Yeah. Went around with him for the 2012 campaign. Was a once in a lifetime experience for the man.
Yep.
I just somebody. I'm totally wearing a GIMP outfit when we do that. Zipper over the mouth and everything.
So you want to combine like the waterboarding and 50 Shades. We call it 50 Shades of Gitmo.
There we go.
50 Shades.
There's the bit.
Gitmo.
Yeah.
Crap. Sorry.
Just stop busting up the place, man.
I know.
Are you a rookie here?
I got all kinds of problems today, man. I swear. Look, when you have a toothache, nothing else seems to want to work right. You know what I mean? Like nothing else, because it's all you're thinking about. Then is just like, just go away. But now, we had this argument on Wednesday. Argument today, not the argument today, a little bit, but a little bit of the argument. It is everywhere. All over the place, it's cold, man.
That's global warming. That's why.
Well, it's climate change. And when me and Greg talked about this, that if you have what they're talking about, that things can get colder and warmer at the same, or not at the same time, but at certain times things can get colder and things can get warmer. Explain it again, Greg.
Well,
it's called weather.
Well,
hold on, let Greg.
you get greater temperature extremes during the two different seasons. So it's going to be a lot hotter and a lot colder during the winter, although the average temperatures are going to stay higher. You're going to get these cold blasts like what we're having right now. This cold blast is actually coming from Siberia across the North Pole and then being pushed down by pressure systems into the United States. But actually, the January was the warmest January on record since we've been keeping temperatures. That was the warmest January. Now we get this cold blast to give us this really cold temperature right now. But ultimately, what all the gases in the atmosphere are doing is creating an insulation effect where it keeps the temperatures extreme. So, that's what we're faced with. We're faced with colder moments during the winter, but ultimately a hotter atmosphere because of the insulation of the gases. So,
I don't know. It is cold as crap out. I don't like it.
This is Siberia. This is Siberian air coming to us. That's exactly what this is.
They should have kept that crap in Siberia.
They should have. It was negative 50 in Siberia.
Oh. when Danielle was up in Tallahassee this week, one of the things that Thursday morning, the wind chill was teens up there.
Mm-hmm.
The teens. That's with a one in front of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a negative.
And no, it wasn't a negative, just in the teens. Not in the negative teens, but just in the teens.
Oh, that's right. It's my hometown. It was negative teens
Oh.
last night.
There's no need for that, by the way. There's just absolutely no need whatsoever for any of that. There's no need. I don't know why we're doing it. We need to stop. They need to get warmer again. I live in Florida for a reason. I don't live in Florida because it's cold out. I live in Florida because it's supposed to be warm out. I'm supposed to be able to wear shorts 365 days a year.
Here's the thing. I think I don't trust anything that I hear about it's the warmest, it's the coldest on record. I don't believe any of that because I actually remember things. And growing up in Florida, we every single year had at least one night of hard freeze in Pinellas County, in the Tampa Bay area. And we'd usually have several nights of hard freeze. In the summer, a lot of times we'd have, and this is in the 70s, a lot of times we'd have days that actually the temperature outside hit 100 degrees, and that doesn't happen anymore. So from my perspective, my personal historical knowledge of my geographic area, it's both summers and are becoming more mild. So how do you reconcile that? And you seem to agree that we are in a period of climate change, which geologically we change. Do you think that man has anything to do with it?
Oh, we absolutely have something to do with it. Well, that's our discussion Wednesday. That's kind of the road we went down.
Right.
I'm not an alarmist when it comes to climate change and man's involvement. I absolutely that we are dirty as all get out.
Right.
I mean, if you have ever sat behind a semi truck watching it puff out its black smoke, you cannot look at that. Think in your mind, multiply that by millions across the world, and how many pounds of air pressure across the world every day is being released. Semi trucks, tanker ships, factories, all of those things, single day for a century now since the Industrial Revolution. I mean, this adds up. It doesn't go anywhere. We don't have vents where we send this off into space. It's here in our atmosphere, and it remains here. So it's going to be there, and we are having an effect. Now, is it as bad as the alarmists would like to say? Not necessarily. I mean, the alarmists, according to them, we wouldn't even have polar ice caps anymore. The numbers were, the ice caps will be gone in 95. The ice caps will be gone in 2000. They'll be gone in 2005. It keeps going
According
up.
to Al Gore, by right now, should be waterfront. So I'm a little pissed off.
Exactly. You would have better land.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, we absolutely have an effect. Is it as great as what the alarmists would like for you to believe? Not necessarily. I don't really want to fight against them, though, because to some degree they are correct in that we are having an effect. And I do think that we need to clean up our act.
Well,
Not necessarily.
That's the one thing you said I agree with. We do need to clean up our act. But I personally believe that all of mankind had set as a mission statement for the species that our goal as humans is to significantly change the climate of the Earth, it couldn't be done.
Oh, if we made a concerted effort to do it, we absolutely could.
I don't think we even could. Maybe in a couple hundred years we could.
Well, the difference is, are we going? Some people try and it as kill the planet. We're not going to kill the planet. At worst, we're going to make it inhospitable for ourselves. We may have more difficulty because of it, but life is going to find a way.
Right.
And like I said on Wednesday, as arrogant about thinking we run the planet. Sorry, cockroaches. They're going to continue after we are dead and gone, and our bones have turned into rock. They are still running this planet.
But what I'm saying is
they can adapt to it.
Even if we tried to, I don't think we could get the Earth to a point where it would be significantly less habitable for humans.
Well,
you have to understand, and I take this from an astrophysics perspective, is that all energy in the entire solar system is derived from the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Fact, there is no energy in our solar system other than that which originates from the sun. To say that we can significantly counteract that, it's arrogance to me. It's the arrogance of man. It's the failure to understand that we are part of a system that we have absolutely no control over.
Well, I agree with that to some degree. The thing is, technologically, we do have the ability. If we intentionally wanted to do it, we absolutely could.
I don't even think we could. Yeah.
I'm sure we could. I mean, we could.
We
could blow this planet up. We could drill down as far as we could, start dropping nuclear warheads in those holes, and turn this planet into dust.
No,
we would have to do it strategically. It would have to be planned. You couldn't do it with one. I mean, this isn't Armageddon where you send one crew of guys up there with a drill and blow the whole thing up with one. It would have to be a concerted. That's why you say if we intentionally did. Oh, if we intentionally, absolutely, we are actually affecting it unintentionally now just through. Again, I'm not saying I am not an alarmist. I do not think that we are destroying the earth and we're going to kill ourselves off and the ice caps are melting and the sky is falling. I am not one of those people, but I accept that we have an effect and we can lessen that effect by cleaning up our act.
Well, now see, I agree with, and we should clean up our act, but we should do it for the right reasons. That is, it's wrong to do, that we do make certain micro areas less inhabitable for both humans, animals, plant life, things like that. We do pollute all the time. We should clean that. But my point is that I think that anyone who really buys into the man-made climate change, it just fails to understand geological history. Been so many, and I'm talking about while mankind has walked, there have been so many dramatic swings in climate long before man, figured out the combustion engine or anything like that. We are just coming out of an ice age. I mean, it was a blink of an eye ago geologically.
Well, here's the thing. My uncle's a sedimentologist.
Right.
I mean, he's a PhD. This is his life's work. I mean, so I get my information. I don't just get it from the news. I don't just get it from my political ideology. I get it from the people who are in this field. And the thing is, he agrees that there is more to it than just us. When him and I have the conversations, I'll bring up, well, what about the volcanoes? Mount St. Helens put more greenhouse gases and fluorocarbons into the air when it erupted in the 80s. Los Angeles has, since it was built. And he's like, well, you're right there. And I'm like, yeah. So it's not just us. I will concede immediately that it's not just us. Geologic forces and the sun itself have an effect on this. Add to those effects when we don't necessarily need to be, and as technology is moving on and we're getting better at finding ways to harness energy, we can clean up our act. We're already to a point where we can clean up our act a lot more than we have. It's not financially viable to the people who are in control.
or is the concept of climate change potentially very profitable to the people in control? And again, take it historically. What was it in the 80s? In the 80s, what was the thing that was going to kill us all?
The Russians.
No. Well, yeah. But as far as the climate goes, or Earth changes goes, it was the ozone layer.
Yeah.
The thinning ozone layer, the hole in the ozone. Literally, we had alarmists telling us that in a decade, the solar and universal radiation was going to fry us all because we were losing our ozone. And they blamed it on aerosol cans. Mm-hmm. Literally. Mm-hmm. So mankind using right guard was literally destroying our atmosphere. And I'm sure someone was playing an angle there.
Oh, absolutely.
So you always have to take these sort of things with a grain of salt. You have to understand that we are part of a solar system. We are part of a planet that has been having climate swings throughout its history, long before we've walked the Earth. We'll continue to do so. The climate will always be changing. It will be getting colder, or it will be warmer, and places that were once fertile will become deserts. Deserts will become fertile again. And that is the way the planet works, and it always has. And screaming about climate change, they've got an angle. Again, there's people who are stupid, and there's people that are evil, and some of them are just buying in, and others have an agenda.
Well, and part of why we see in the scientific community and see this talked about so much, which is the point also infuriates me, is that when you are a scientist, and especially when you work in any kind of field that in any way relates to the climate or the condition of the earth, you cannot get funding unless you tie your research into that.
Right.
If you are not tying your research into global warming or man-made climate change or whatever they want to use as the buzzword for this, if you're not tying research in, you're not funding for
exactly.
it. So the scientific community has an incentive to go that direction with all their research and point these things out. And the thing is, we learn all the time that they're not always right, that the data that they're processing can be flawed, have flawed math.
Well, we're learning that they're literally falsifying data.
Yeah, and there are some people falsifying. There are people out there who are doing this research and have solid findings that are not falsifying anything, are not making mistakes, but that doesn't mean they have the answer and that it's the end-all be-all of this research. We're always learning more and more every day. Going back to your point about the hole in the ozone layer, we discovered the ozone layer, started finding a way to map it, and found there was a hole. For all we know, that hole was always there.
Right.
And now today we do know that it probably was, because the ozone layer fluctuates. And the place where the hole was not anymore, but the hole has moved. More of those, and it's just the way that our atmosphere interacts with itself and the way things flow around within this complex system.
But the immediate conclusion was that that CFCs were the root cause.
Exactly.
And that's why we all had to buy new air conditioning systems.
Yeah. That's the thing. I will totally agree that people take this research and take this information and they go the wrong direction with it.
Right.
Just like with the war stuff.
Yeah.
Just like with the war stuff, what you were saying earlier, both sides are wrong.
Yeah.
Neither of them are going towards the solution here. And that's kind of what we've got, Yes, we found this. Yes, we're dirty and we're polluting everything. Yep. But are we actually working towards the proper solution?
Exactly.
Are we working with good conclusions to bring about proper solutions?
Well, that's why, though, what Tesla came out with this week, though, was so...
Absolutely. I'm very fired up about that.
I mean, to be able to have the battery storage in your own home is the biggest keys in order to move things in the direction that they actually need to be moved in. So it wasn't, it ain't like a carbon tax was going to fix it. If there is a problem, the thing that will fix it is the fact that the energy in your home yourself.
Yeah. By the way, hang on. How bizarre is that line of thinking from our politicians that, okay, we've got a problem. The best solution is to tax people.
Well, that's all they've got.
Right.
That's all they've got for everything.
Tax hammer, tax
Yeah, right.
Tax hammer, tax nail, man.
But yeah, the Tesla battery is a that's going to change the game. I mean, you've got the photovoltaic cells, which are becoming much more efficient, which was a limitation for a while. And the other limitation, and I'm talking about if you want to install, truly get off the grid, have your own electricity generation in your home, those were limitations, and they're starting to be overcome. And now the price is going down, and it's just a matter of time before most people are energy independent. And if we can get this bill passed in Tallahassee, that's going to go a long way towards that.
Well, yeah, the ballot initiative. If that goes
the
through.
ballot initiative.
But now the state legislature could actually fix that first. And what Adrian's talking about is the solar initiative to be able to free the market up. Because the one thing you have to be able to do, though, is you have to be able to finance it because the upfront cost it's not a small amount. It is a larger amount. But if you're able to work through the cost and finance that stuff over a good amount of time, then you can get set up the way you need to be set up. And look, this actually grid in and of itself, it does have to change the relationship that we have with the power companies because now they have actual competition instead of the monopoly, the government sponsor now. But just like with many things, is that the thing that really drives innovation is creative destruction. You have to have that part, or look, if the horse lobby could have, they would have stopped cars.
Yeah. Yeah, the guys who made horse-drawn carriages had no benefit of the invention of the automobile.
No, none whatsoever. It's same with Blockbuster would have tried to stop Redbox. They would have tried to Netflix if it could, but they couldn't do it. They didn't have a lobby that they were doing all of this with.
They just didn't buy off enough politicians, or they could have.
Well, but even then, though, with some of these technologies, it's hard to you can stop it from going on for. It's going to have to make it through, and that's one of the problems. I mean, that's one of the problems for them, but one of the good things for us. Eventually, it does make it through. They pervert it a lot, but it makes it through.
Another thing we've been talking about, the vape pens and what it's doing to the tobacco companies, and the tobacco are lobbying the government, going to the FDA, trying to get these outlawed because they want to control the market. Because they make their own disposable e-cigarettes, and so they're trying to make the case that these are dangerous, so they can go ahead and protect their market.
Yeah.
These are creative destruction of that market, and they're fighting against it.
Yeah. Oh, fighting tooth and nail against it.
Pretty much every tangible that has been banned is because it cut into somebody else's profits.
Correct.
Including most drugs, for example.
A lot of that is the case too.
Yeah.
Let's get into that. We'll get into that when we get back, as a matter of fact. All right, let's take a break here real quick. Phone number, by the way, 1-800-525-4032. Website, 1787network.com. We'll be back.
Hi, this is Gary Johnson, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average 40% at intersection with cameras. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join the fight at www.banthecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
If you received a ticket in Florida, contact Oropesa Law Offices, 800-774-9883 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised of your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit tacklemyticket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find out more at tacklemyticket.com. Mention Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
You know Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal. Convenient locations. Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza, St. Pete on 66th Street, just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix, and be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
When the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind them. Auto Owners Insurance has been recognized as highest in customer with the auto insurance claims experience 5 years in a row by J.D. Power and Associates. For award information, go to jdpower.com. Call Row Insurance in Newport Richey today at 727-376-0030.
Welcome back, Liberty Underground 1787 Radio Network. What Adrian's out there finishing up his little break there, little Union 15, Union 4. The Union 4. Boy, all over the place today. You know, a lot of times we do shows that are really heavy into the news.
Right.
And then there's some weeks, though, I kind of didn't want to do I didn't want to do a heavy into the news show this week anyway. I kind of wanted to have some of those kind of, I don't want to say topical discussions, but with the Wiley here, you know, it does change the dynamic. And I like Danielle probably does most of the research work when it comes to actually what we're going to have. Anyway.
Yeah, I like the philosophical discussions and the banter discussions anyway.
Yeah,
you know, I really enjoy them.
Some of them, yeah. Sometimes it's good just to go off on stuff like that, and you know, because I think you do get deeper into some of the issues and stuff. And
just admit you didn't do any show prep.
Well, we didn't do a whole lot anyway, though. But that's okay.
I rarely do show prep. My show prep is technical side.
Well, no, and you did get a lot of good stuff done this week too, which was good. So. A lot of those things were going in there. Oh, man. Okay. It's getting a little bit better. We're getting a little bit better.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it's weird that the mouthwash actually helps with that, though.
Well,
if you drink enough of it, it will.
Well, no, I wasn't drinking it. I was you know, using it the proper way.
That's powerful stuff, man. That stuff started out as battlefield antiseptic.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And the entire studio smells of it right now.
Oh, does it really?
It's like Listerine potpourri in here.
Listerine. He just said Listerine potpourri.
Did somebody get a limb blown off? What's going on?
I got a limb blown off. That's funny. Oh. All right, what were you guys talking about out there?
We have no idea.
Well, no. You guys there was something you guys wanted to mention out there when you were out there.
Oh, well, we were debating on whether we were going to get into a debate or not.
Well, I don't know that it's really a debate because it's one of those things that we kind of agree on.
We do.
To some
It's more of what is the right place for each.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You want to start it off?
Well, yeah, and we'll go ahead and give some context. Adrian and I are both members of the same affiliate, the Libertarian Party in Pinellas County, and there's a new EC, and we're making changes. And myself, I feel that the bylaws are lacking, and quite frankly, the way the bylaws are written now, with the changes that we're looking at putting in, it's all about the candidates, and there's no room and there's no defined function of anything other than to find and support candidates. And personally, that don't think that is the role of a political party, the political party. It's just part of it. And especially as a third party in the United States, there's certainly a greater role for us. Historically, third parties have played a major role in politics in the United States. Every major change that has ever happened in this country came from third parties. Some of the biggest changes in our history, including the abolition of slavery and graduated income tax, those were both issues that the two major parties wanted nothing to do with, and it was a third party brought this to the forefront, got the people engaged, and got the people talking about it to the point where the two major parties had to sit up and take notice and get involved in this. And then they take action on these issues, and we get policies that the third parties have been supporting. And we're seeing that right now with state of cannabis in this country. The Libertarian Party is without a doubt the party that has on board with changing cannabis policy in the United States from day one. From the first day of the party, that's something that the party's been on board with. And there's been a lot of activism from the party, obviously in other states more than this one, but there's a lot of activism for that single. And the Libertarian played a serious role in getting us to where we are now with that. And as a political, that's what we need to do. And we need to play our role as a third party. And that role is not necessarily getting candidates elected. I would love to get candidates elected, but that's not necessarily our role. And that's not the only way for us to change policy in this country.
Okay, and I understand that point, and you make some good examples. But by the same token, if our objective is to look at the two major parties in power and look at the corruption and the wrongheadedness of the direction of this country, and to sit back and say, well, you know, our goal should be to influence policy on one position. To me, that's like, you know, begging for scraps while our politicians are at the dining table. I believe that the purpose of, and absolutely, you know, getting issues out there, opinion, you know, educating, so on and so forth, that is critical for libertarians to do. But I think that the venue for that are things like this show. I think the purpose of a political party is to get candidates elected, because if we don't do that, if we exist as a political party simply to change the discussion or influence the discussion, we're never going to solve anything, because for every battle that we win, we lose 20. And that's the problem. So I believe that our objective is to at least to the point where we represent 1/3 of the elected officials across the board. And it's a long process, but the purpose of a political party itself, and I'm not talking, you know, individual libertarians, I'm not talking about groups, I'm not talking about, you know, anything other than a political party, should be to get candidates elected. Because I believe that the best way to spread that message and to change public opinion is through candidates. Candidates are the ones that get people's attention. Candidates and personalities, like you know, radio show, TV personalities.
I agree with that, and the thing is, I'm not saying that candidates are irrelevant either. What I'm saying is there has to be a balance. We have to play our roles, because I absolutely agree that candidates are a great way to get those policy changes into the public conversation. When you get a candidate standing, when you've got two candidates from the two major parties who are taking very similar positions on a specific policy, and you get a third party candidate who's coming out with a completely different position that is different from both of theirs, and it aligns with what the majority of the people really believe and would really want and is actually a solution, then there's definitely an advantage there. And you need that candidate to be a candidate so they're getting attention. to have that conversation. So candidates have their place, but actually getting them elected is very difficult. And the history of getting candidates to actually win elections in this country as a third-party candidate, it's not very good. It's almost tragic. There's a lot of money wasted on that because so much money does get put into trying to get candidates elected, and it doesn't actually happen. So really saying we shouldn't focus on candidates or we shouldn't put any effort into that, that it's possible to actually win elections, but we shouldn't put all our eggs in that basket, because there are ways that we can influence things, and there are ways that we can actually bring about change. We did that in St. Pete. We prevented a bad law from happening through political activism that had nothing to do with candidates.
But how many bad laws prevailed in St. Pete during that same time period?
We can't win them all, and
No.
you have to pick your battle.
That's the concept. And I think that and you cited history as a guide in this case, and when you look at history of the Libertarian Party, I think the reason that we haven't had success electing candidates is because we haven't put 100% of the focus on it. Because when you take the attitude that, it's nice to have candidates, but they're never going to win, so we shouldn't really spend any money on them. When you take that approach, it's self-fulfilling. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. No goes into, a successful business, for example, starts a successful business and says, well, we're gonna try to make a good product and to make some money, but really we're gonna focus on something else. You will not be successful if you take that approach.
But the only where we have had success, I mean, the Libertarian Party has had success. We have had success, and it wasn't by getting elected. It was by affecting policy in other ways. And that's what I'm saying is, if we go 100% with the candidates, then those other methods are being ignored, and we're not going to get any of those successes.
That's where I disagree. I think that if we go 100% with candidates, then what we're doing, and not necessarily 100% with candidates, with issues too. We take on issues as well. But we make candidates the focus. But I think if we do that, then is we are increasing our potential to have more influence in the discussion. Because what happens is those percentages of electoral votes go up, and we're seeing it in Tallahassee right now. In 2014, we had a strong libertarian presence in politics with candidates. We had strong results. We got strong media attention, and now all of a sudden, a lot of legislators are now a lot more willing to listen to the Libertarian Party. So by that approach, it actually gives us the ability to influence the discussion much more. And I truly believe, I sincerely believe that in 20 years, the Libertarian Party will be a full-blown political party on equal footing with Republicans and Democrats. We will have roughly a third of the elected officials in the country. I think we can get there. But the only way that we're going to get there is by treating our political parties as political parties and realizing that their purpose is to win elections.
All right, let me say something here. First off, in reality, what Greg is saying is correct. And what Adrian is saying is also correct. The disagreement, or maybe not the disagreement, but the as I see it, is the people that are in charge, or the people that have been in charge for quite some time, even within the Libertarian Party, don't understand that their role is as a political party. If you choose to belong to the executive committees of a political party, they're in charge of the purpose of the political party. And the purpose is to increase membership to get candidates elected into office, is to increase registration to get candidates elected in office. That's their goal. Anything other than that, how it's built, the strategy that it's built with is through campaigns. However, the term campaign isn't specifically designated for only a candidate. It's also for causes.
Yeah.
And that you have to have a balance of causes and candidates in order to get it done. But, like I said, though, the people in charge have to understand that they are in charge of a political party. And those that don't want to, like, let's say you don't want to do that. That's not your bag. Like, I want to just go out there and just educate people and just do that. Perfectly fine. Totally go and do that. Stop being in charge of anything in the political party because that's not your goal. And again, it's not a bad thing or a negative thing. That's the place in which it's supposed to be done at. And if you don't want to do that, then you've kind of lost your say so, because it's about building membership more than it is about anything else.
Right.
It's
the
about
two go hand in hand.
Well, you're right. The two go hand in hand. If you build one, then the other will come. My problem that I've seen with many people is that what we have done, and it's moving away from this, but it's not all the way gone yet. The intellectuals within our party are in charge of our party. Is the wrong thing to do. Nationwide, the state of Florida is a little bit different, but
the idiots are in charge.
The intellectuals.
What's your position there, Alex? I forgot.
I'm vice chair, and I'm doing the best I can. The intellectuals are in charge. The going thought process is we're not here to get candidates elected in office. Their goal should be to build the party, not to educate them, and not people, by the way. The goal of the people in the political party, the leadership, is not to educate the voter. It's to get more people registered in your party.
But see, I do that part of a candidate's job is to educate the voter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
kind of. We just need people in charge of that. That they haven't. Look, I do sincerely believe that one of the boy, this is really going to go badly. All right, but I'm going to say it anyway, though. I don't care. I'm going to say it.
He's medicated, folks. So.
I'm going to say this, and I'm not going to take it the right way. When I first got involved in the Libertarian Party, look at the leadership at the time and looked at them with reverence, and looked at these people that were the ones that were building that were involved in the party since the 70s, and look at them in a very like the people are always right, and this is just the way it is. I did not, and I still don't, look at them with that kind of reverence. I'm kind of mad at them. I guess that's the right word to say it. I'm kind of angry with them. The reason that I'm angry with them is that they're in charge. It's their responsibility to get these things done. And if they were doing their job, then when candidates did decide to run for office, that there would be something that would be helpful for the it would be there would be an incentive for people to run Libertarian. They've not only squandered that time, they get mad if anybody even remotely talks about it. They get upset. They get mad about it. Like there's some kind of watchdog over the party to keep it small. Like I think that's their. It's like a bunch of old school Nirvana fans. As soon as Nevermind came out, like, oh no, these guys sold out. No, they didn't sell out. The mainstream moved to them. I think that what happens is that we don't sell out. The mainstream starts moving to us, and then those people go, well, I can't have that. So let me go ahead and get even more unagreeable in another way, and let me focus on more. We're not going to be able to get people to agree on, to see how many more people we can piss off, to see if we can make sure that nobody likes us, because that's where we want to be. We want to be where nobody likes us, because they refuse to even read their own platform to say what a political party is supposed to do, and the education part that they talk about, how we need to be educating the voters, is a scam.
Yeah.
They're scamming us. They're lying about it because they don't have any plans to actually go out and educate anybody. What happens is, and it happened before, it doesn't happen so much in Florida, but it used to happen, you'd reach out to the party, I want to be a candidate, I want to run for office. Yeah. I want to get involved in what's going on. Did you get any response back?
No, none whatsoever. That was in 1998 when I ran for Dunedin. I attempted to run for Dunedin City Commission.
Okay. Well, if your goal was to educate people and somebody contacts your organization, reaching out back to them about that education could actually be kind of a key. Like, that might be one of the things that you would do. I mean, if you're going to be lazy about it, if you're not out there outreaching in other ways, and this is the way that you would outreach, and somebody contacts you and says, I want to get more involved, you should. And when challenged on this one particular, and you'll notice this, when challenged on this, the response that you get from some, and it's a small minority now, by the way. Like, there's a lot more people that have moved in that was good, but they're still there, though. And online, they look bigger than they are. But when you say to them, well, you should go out and educate more people, then they'll say, well, people are just stupid.
Right. Yeah.
And
I've had that conversation.
You're like, what? And then if you ask these same people, what do you got? What are you guys doing? What's working? What's ineffective? They don't have an answer for you there. They attack you for even asking the question. Mm-hmm. Now, here's the thing. The reason they're attacking you, because you're asking the question, has much more to do with that they're doing nothing. And they can't say, well, I'm not doing anything. So they have to go, well, I'm not doing what you're saying to do, you big liar, you misinformer, you fraudulent.
Bastard, you thief.
Yeah, you liar, thief, and a bastard. Like, you can't go that direction with it. So you have to go with, you're not saying what you're doing. Again, a lot of this is being fixed right now, but if it wasn't getting bigger before, I think that's one of the reasons for it. Like, the organic growth was almost being stymied by the people in the party.
Oh, yeah.
But now we are in a phenomenal position. Because are you hitting that Listerine again?
Yeah, I'm going to hit it again. I'm sorry, it does help a little bit.
You want a shot glass?
I'm thinking about it.
It comes with one on top of the bottle.
That's right. But now we're in a wonderful position because we're growing dramatically. I mean, up almost 13% since December of last year. No, that was just in the third quarter. I'm sorry, that was in the third quarter of 2014. Almost 13% new registrations in the third. Can you spit so that you can join in this conversation?
Well, I actually give you a lot of credit for that, because a good candidate is a driving force not only for educating and getting policy into the public conversation, draws people in.
So you're actually making my argument for me. By focusing on candidates, we accomplish all those goals.
Well, again, understand, I'm not disagreeing with you. What I am advocating for is balance. Everything requires balance maintained, and our party is the same. Is the same way. We have to have a balance. We can't go all in for candidates. We go all in for just educating or single issue advocacy
or the chili place.
Yeah, we have a balance, and there's absolutely a role for the candidates, and there's absolutely a role for the activists, and that's really what it's about. Because I'm an activist. I will never run for office, and I will never have a role in this party if all you. But I do have a role, and I do have abilities that I bring to the table, and I have things that I'm willing that candidates aren't. Especially if you have ambitions on a political career. You can't go out and do a lot of the political activism that some people can engage in, because it's going to look bad on you when you're trying to get elected.
I think you can do both.
Ultimately, these two sides have to be able to get along in this aspect.
Right.
But the thing is this. There's a primary and a secondary purpose on the parties. A primary and a secondary. The primary is ultimately you want to get candidates in office. Secondary one is you have to increase the number of people registered in your party in order to get those people elected into office. So those are primary and secondary. No matter what you do, activism-wise or anything else like that, those two have to be in the back of your head. Like, you have to be thinking about those two goals as you're doing what you're doing, because the other things about changing the conversation and moving things in that direction is a byproduct of those two. Because when we went up to Tallahassee this year to go up to lobby for legislation and to go do things like that, without his campaign before that and the acknowledgement from them that the electorate has moved when it comes to their mindset, we would not be anywhere nearly as effective up there trying to conversation or to change policy as we would have been had he not have run. With that being said, we need to make sure that we're up there doing that, irregardless if we have a candidate or not, because up there and do those things. It's a multi-pronged process. My biggest complaint is this is my biggest complaint. I have no problem with people that just want to be activists and don't want to even be involved with campaigns or candidates. Where my problem lies is with the it's not good enough for them. It's the almost lying about the issues in order to, like, I have to waste time defending against those guys when I shouldn't have to waste time defending against those guys. I shouldn't have to deal with their problem. I'm not out attacking them per se. I'm trying to do this. They don't want to do that. But instead of just being okay with somebody else going and doing it, they have a problem. They're like, well, that's not the vision of the party. And David Nolan said that he think we should run candidates. Well, you know, David Nolan should have made Cato. That's what he should have made. He should have made a think tank, because that's what think tanks do. What you don't do is you don't make a political party, because that has a purpose. That has a goal. If you're not going to do that, you're standing in the way.
Well, I think what you're talking about, there's actually two different divisions here that you're talking about, and they're kind of being talked about as if they're the same thing. There's the dividing line between the candidate people and the activist people, and there's the dividing line between the workers and the talkers.
Yeah, good point.
Okay,
good point.
Now, you're going to have people who could be any combination of those four things. They're going to be any two of those four. They could be in support of candidates and a worker, which is where I would put you guys.
Yeah.
You could be an activist and a worker, which is where I would put myself and several other people. And then you could be on either sides of those and be a worker or a talker. Yeah. Now, quite frankly, a lot of the people are talkers, and that's their problem. You know, they want to talk about
that goes
things
with everybody, though.
Yeah. It's in any organization, whether political party or not, you're going to have these same things. And the talkers, you know, they're the squeaky wheel, but they're not necessarily getting things done. And you know, quite often they're the perennial fringe, the old school Nirvana fans. The what I've come up with, I call those people the perennial fringe. They're the ones that are part of the underground outlying fringe movements. Then as those movements start to become more mainstream, they move back out to the fringe, to whatever the new underground fringe movement is.
They're the goth kids behind the bleachers.
Yeah. When the first goth kids were probably punks before, and punks started getting too mainstream, so they go to the goth, and then the goth starts mainstreaming, so they move to something else. That's what we see within the Libertarian Party. You know, who were a part of this because it's fringe. Now that it's becoming mainstream, they either take the position of fighting that mainstream movement or moving out to the fringe again.
Yeah. Look, and I'm sure I said something to piss somebody off, but I'm trying to give it to you the way I see it here too, which is not always the easiest. I have a lot more nasty words I could use at times. But with that being said, let's take a break. Hour number 3 is coming up. That's the hour, so we really should figure out something we want to say. You're listening to the 1787 Radio Network Underground Show.
this is Gary Johnson, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with cameras. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join the fight at www.banthecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
If you received a ticket in Florida, contact or a 800-779-883 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your privileges restored, or suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised about your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit tacklemyticket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Out more at tacklemyticket.com. Underground and get 25.
Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal at the following convenient locations: Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza, St. Pete on 66th Street just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix, and be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North, to Publix in Palm Harbor.
When the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't. Your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind them. Auto Owners Insurance has been recognized as highest in customer satisfaction with the auto insurance claims experience 5 years in a row by J.D. Power and Associates. For award information, go to jdpower.com. Call Row Insurance in Newport Richey today at 727-376-0030.
This is Liberty Underground with Alex Snicker, Danielle Alexandra, and Greg Bowen on the 1787.
Well, good morning, Clearwater, Tampa Bay, St. Petersburg. This is Alex, co-host, Liberty Underground, along with me. Well, Danielle did not make it in this week. As I here, hour number 2. Hour number 1 and 2. Go to 1787network.com and go and listen there. But I gotta make sure I tell Ed that we're on here. In studio with us, though, Danielle did not make it in this week. She will be in next week. In studio is the Prime Minister of the Sinister, Greg Bowen. Greg, how are you doing, sir?
Spectacular.
Also with us this week, fabulous Greg. Also with us is the Libertarian candidate for governor of Florida, or the candidate for governor of Florida. Adrian thinks he's a cool guy, Wiley. Adrian, how are you doing, sir?
Really? That's what I'm going to
come up with right now.
Yeah. Well, you're kind of hurting today, so I'll give you a pass.
I appreciate
Normally,
that.
I'd beat up on you a little bit, but I'll let that slide.
I appreciate you letting that one slide. So, how's it been going? How's it been going, by the way, Adrian?
Yo, Adrian.
Very original. Yeah, good, doing good. After the campaign, getting kind of reacclimated with the family. I had to reintroduce myself because they pretty much hadn't seen me for 2 years. Trying to get my business back on track, which is, I'm pleased to say, I'm managing to claw my way back out of the poorhouse. So things are going good, and all of a sudden I find myself jonesing to get active in politics again. So I'm working with the Pinellas County Party, probably be doing some work with the state party here pretty soon. Obviously, the lobbying efforts in Tallahassee with the Tallahassee. That's never the case with the Liberty First Network. So getting things right after a very, very and costly campaign.
Yeah.
You'll never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Ain't that
the truth? I feel like going up there, though. I feel like a Cubs fan in spring training right now, though. I'm not gonna lie to you. I do feel like that when I go up there and see that.
Wait, you got to clarify that.
Well, you know how the Cubs always think they're going to win the World Series? They have no chance of winning the World Series.
Right.
So in spring training, though, you have all the hope in the world that actually things will change.
Well, actually, I think it's looking like a fairly decent legislative session.
But I feel like it might be. I might be.
Oh, really? Yeah.
During the spring training, I might feel like that now.
So then you'll be looking forward to the draft.
That's what it is with election time. You're like, oh yeah, we got to draft.
We're playing for draft picks.
Well, we really are. We can't have these people up there again. One thing I did want to ask you, Adrian, is after the election's over and everything, is that you do go back out and you talk to, like, for you have clients directly for the company that you own. How has the reaction? What have they said to you post election?
Work. We went easy on you for a long time. Now you got a big list of projects.
But do they ask you anything like political wise?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's my clients. Most of my clients have been clients of mine for many years. Many 10 years or more, and so they were very supportive. Very excited about it. Accommodating with my travel schedule as well. It's getting to the point where I'm tired of talking about it because everyone I see, the first thing they want a recap of the campaign. They want to talk about, how much they loved it, what they did, and it's been that you end up telling the same story over and over. It gets a little old, but I'm really thrilled that so many people were so excited about the campaign. A lot of them told me that this is the first time they ever involved in their life, and that's a good thing. I mean, more people who have been sitting out politics because they felt like they couldn't change anything. And most of them are staying inspired, and that's a good thing. And that's why we need to transition that energy into the size of the Libertarian Party here in Florida.
No, and you're absolutely right about that. I guess I would want to ask you would be, what's some of the more interesting things that people have asked you about post campaign? Like, when you're going back in there, you're going back in to do some work, you're working on servers, you're doing things like that. And then people are coming up to you, ask you stuff. And, sometimes you just get some very interesting quotes from people. What are some of the more interesting ones, if you can remember any of them?
Well, a lot of people know what were the other two guys really like. And my answer is generally exactly like I talked about them on the campaign trail. They're both complete dirtbags. It's funny now with Rick Scott, all the allegations coming out. Where was the media on this back when, for the past 2 years, when we were talking about it?
When it would have affected his campaign and prevented him from getting reelected?
Yeah, exactly. They kind of didn't bother talking about it much then, and now all of a sudden it's scandal after scandal, which, some of them are new, but there were plenty out there prior to that they could have been talking about. So it's an interesting dynamic, but that's one of the things people want to know. You
guys were all hanging out at some point or something, right? Like, those people didn't want to be in the same zip code as you were in.
Oh, yeah. Rick Scott, I remember one particular press conference. Scott, Christ, and I were all there, and they actually, his entourage, delayed his entry so that they could see where I was, what I was going to do, and then they just spirited him out right afterwards. I got to give Charlie Chris a little credit. He hung out and talked to me, but he was very uncomfortable. Put the elevator together. That was very uncomfortable. But yeah, it's not like we all huddled together and hung out and back beers. Those especially that's office during the campaign. and
that was funny.
His secretary actually got to the point where she, he's not in. He's in. One time, what did he say? He's in Paris.
He went to France.
Yeah. He was here this morning. It's because later we found out that he was in his office signing bills at the time that she said he was in Paris.
Well, that or sucking the soul out of babies or something like that. He could have been doing that too.
He was planning on retaking Castle Grayskull and conquering Eternia.
Yes, I think he was probably doing that as well.
Actually, it's a lot
very
more,
ugly looking governor too.
A lot more pedestrian than that. He was actually just figuring out more ways to funnel money into his funds. Yeah.
For somebody who has ripped off that much money, I'm surprised that he objects to Medicare expansion. That's for him to.
Well,
to
he did. No, honestly, he didn't. There's a certain point where he said he was for it. That's the funny part. He actually is.
I was for it before I was against it.
Well, he was against it before he was for it.
I was against it before
and then
I was
he was
for
against it again.
Yeah.
He's been supporting it, and actually, that's another thing that probably will go through this session is going to be the Medicaid expansion.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes, look, I disagree with it, but it makes sense as to why it's happening now, though, because there's a year before the next election cycle. The Democrats will have more people challenging them in the next election cycle. They didn't need to do it during the 2014 election cycle. They do it this time.
They didn't want to do it then.
Yeah, they do it this time. Then there's another go-around of another session before the next election, and they think they're going to be able to keep enough of their base and be able to keep their base up, considering what the opposition ticket is going to look like. Because the opposition ticket's going to be Hillary Clinton.
Mm-hmm.
And they think they're going to get Jeb Bush. I mean, they're working for it right now. Hell, they've made this thing a two-person race. They've made the Republican primary a two-person race, and no one is actually officially announced yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens every time.
How do you even do that? Like 25 guys are thinking about running for this. But at any rate, there was something that happened this past weekend as well that I thought was kind of funny. I know that I'm sure there's some people here that listen to or watch Saturday Night Live. You guys watch Saturday Night Live, right? I like Saturday Night Live. There's some times when it was good, sometimes when it was bad. There's some characters that worked very, very well, and some that were just horrible. But in doing it, one of the monologues came from Jerry Seinfeld. And just to show you how far people... Sarah Palin was there.
Mm-hmm.
and she got up and basically was like, "How much would Lorne Michaels pay me to run for office?"
Yeah, which was an incredibly honest moment in television.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then how much would it cost if I had Donald Trump as my running mate? But that's not the part I'm talking about, though. The part I'm talking about is during that show, or off of it, when she's coming down, she takes a picture with Al Sharpton.
Uh-huh.
If you want one picture to know why I'm a libertarian, that's the picture right there.
Sarah Palin and Al
Because if
Sharpton.
those two are willing to take a picture together, you know what, man? There is no opposition going on up there. No real opposition. It's all a show. It's all fake. Like, that's got to be proof right there. You know, Al Sharpton, like, you want to talk about, like, a bad guy, definitely a bad guy. And Palin's just going to take a picture with him? You know, out of all the crap you've said, Palin, now you're going to take a picture with him? Like, you've literally turned into the character of yourself that you were portrayed as. And people still like her. I can't figure out why. I mean, look, she's hot, she's a girl, whatever. She's not that, like, did you guys see the speech that, you know, because all the Republicans are going to all the different states now. Did you see the one that she gave in Iowa?
No.
Did you even hear about it?
I heard about it.
It was literally the most incoherent speech that I've ever heard. I've heard people high and drunk be able to put sentences together better than she was able to do. Was better able to make a point on something than she was able to do in this. Honestly, ruined her chances of even running, which, you know, whatever.
I think the last time she tried.
I don't think she's ever ascended again. I think she's probably looking for being an entertainer at this point.
Yeah, well,
but going back to that Saturday night, another interesting angle, one that I found interesting, had to do with Victoria Jackson. And Victoria Jackson has become a Tea Party darling. She's
we did an event with her.
Yeah, very conservative. Yeah, I've had the opportunity to meet her a couple of times. She's a real nice lady and
super nice.
You know what's funny about Victoria Jackson? It's that her voice was shtick. You know, that high pitched voice.
Yeah.
No, that's how she talks. I mean, I had conversations with her, and that's just her voice. But what happened there? She was the only cast member that was not given an audience ticket. They didn't even let her in the audience. And I disagree with Victoria Jackson on a lot of things. I agree with many, but it's considered a TV person. And Lorne Michaels wouldn't even let her in the audience. She was the only cast member, and she was on the show for 6 years. It wasn't like she was some bit player. They had people on there that were like a bit player for one season, and here she is. She's been in some of the most famous skits, and
they brought Norm Macdonald back, who's like a black sheep of SNL.
You know what? I Norm Macdonald was the best Weekend Update anchors.
Oh yeah, I love Norm Macdonald.
Yeah.
But to watch what happened with that, it was really, it was funny, but it was also angering all at the same time. Is to be like, you know what, man? Seriously, like, this is what you're doing. Did you do all this stuff ahead of time just to be able to get to this point? All of it was just it was a shtick right from the front, and
I for a little while, and then she realized she was a herself, and she just went with it.
I guess. I don't know. We'll see. I did think that was kind of interesting this week to be able to see that that dichotomy, play itself out on Saturday Night Live. And then the rest of the stuff, like those guys have taken such a weird turn when it comes to some of the artists and stuff that they put in there. Just like Kanye West was one of the singers in there. Dude treated the interview like you interviewed Jordan Page. We're on the floor singing. On the floor singing.
For the record, Jordan made me get on the floor.
Well, I know.
He was already on the floor, and I was trying to interview him standing. It just didn't work. So.
Well, he was tired. It was kind of funny, actually. That was a funny interview. But this guy
I was rather uncomfortable.
And that's happened a lot of times with the musical performances on Liberty or on Saturday.
I agree with you. What was that whole thing with Kanye? That didn't make any sense to me whatsoever.
people that literally think that they're so smart and they're so talented that they could defecate on the floor and all of a sudden that's art. You know what I mean? So they think they can do no wrong. And this is one of these guys. It's why he goes up and actually will interrupt somebody with some actual talent like Beck.
Yeah, that's, debatable there. But
what do you
mean? Beck.
We also have a caller on that.
Beck, the singer.
Well, Jeff Beck definitely has talent.
Well, no. What's this guy's first name, Greg?
He doesn't have one.
He's like Madonna.
Oh, yeah, Beck. So, at any rate, that guy produces his own albums, music. He plays all the instruments on it. He does all this stuff on it. So he definitely has some talent. But let's go to the phones now.
Yeah. Line, Chris from Clearwater.
Chris from Clearwater, go ahead. Hey, how are you doing?
Oh, super duper darn decent.
What did you call for? Please opine, sir.
Wait a second. Hang on a second, Chris. You got to be a better host than that. What did you call for?
Yeah,
what do you want? What do you want? Chris, what the hell are you calling me for? What do you want?
My tooth hurts, man. My tooth hurts. I'm doing the best I can here.
Chris, welcome to the program. What's on your mind, my friend?
There you go.
Oh, thank you. Well, gee, I'm one of those fringe callers, so I you're about to comment on the last hour. Because, you're, first off, though, Alex, before I forget, check out some therapeutic grade, also known as medicinal grade, oregano oil for that toothache. If you can handle something hot, it'll really penetrate in through the enamel and down to the dentin. But if that's too hot for you, try clove oil. Works pretty well.
I just
I'm writing those down. I totally wrote them down. I totally wrote them both down right now. I'll go be looking those up. I'm sorry, but go ahead. I don't want to interrupt.
Good. I'm not a doctor, but I play one on the radio.
I'll take your advice right now for the pain I'm in.
Anybody got any advice, I'll take it.
No, you're talking about people who join the party and then they move off to the fringe. And, it seems like people do that often when they start that they're winning. It's the idea. They're running along. They can't believe when they're winning by virtue of the popular ideas they support. And so they look back to compare themselves to the failing ideas. And they trip up, they injure themselves, and, they are the embodiment of those ideas to the public. So they feel like just because they made a little mistake, they get discouraged and they drop out of the race often. Spiritually speaking as well, it's those who don't feel deserving, worthiness of themselves and those ideas succeeding, and that we could live like they lack the imagination that we should all be living like kings and queens at this level of technology. As technology increases, so should our standard of living. And I think that's the idea of getting more people involved civically. I see it often. Stop me if I'm off the track here, but recognize a well-earned success, so used to being treated like underdogs, and they want to conquer often rather than recognizing when they simply won just with a few words. Rather than accepting their own victory, they sabotage themselves and the proven successful plans that have been used in the past, who always have money burning a hole in their pocket. And, I would say, in summary, that there's always room for improvement, and that's what makes life interesting. With simple words, you can still have an easy victory, and as Andy Warhol said, always leave them wanting less.
Yeah. No, I can't. I think self-sabotage is part of it. I think that being a contrarian for the sake of being a contrarian has a little bit to do with that. And I think all of us can get into that mindset. I don't think it's hard to get there. It's a very easy, in fact, to get into that mindset of always. If they're for it, I definitely should be against it. Like if they're doing it, then there's got to be something wrong with that. So I need to be against that no matter what. And
that's why you have the left-right dichotomy.
Well, but I think but sometimes what we have to do, and that's for all of us. I mean, I'm blaming myself as much as anybody else when I'm saying this. We have to objectively at what sometimes you see people do, and you have to take the emotion and the preconceived notions out of it and look at it as it is and see if it's something that's good or something that's bad, and to be able to move from there. And something that I have done, which is a negative on my part, is that I do, and Adrian has said this, and Danielle, is I historically just say that they probably shouldn't do that. They're not all evil. They're not all really bad. I still want them all to be removed. But maybe going down the line of they're all evil stops me from being able to look at something objectively, because I have a preconceived bias on it. And I probably weigh that bias way too much. And I should weigh that less and allow myself to be able to look at something and say, okay, that's a good idea. They're doing that. I think I'm getting that, but I still got a long ways to go. I mean, I still have a massive anger issues that I have to work through that it can go at the snap of a whatever. But I'm sorry, go ahead, Adrian.
Well, let me just be a contrarian here, as you pointed out before.
Figured you would.
And say there is some truth to what you're saying, but and to steal Greg's moderation point, you can't keep such an open mind that there has to be clear deeds where a line, regardless of what issue you're talking about, regardless of what people you're dealing with, there will always be those who are evil, and then there will be a whole lot of things that are in that gray territory where you can objectively analyze it. But I think there is a time once you definitively recognize that someone's objectives are actually evil, and I'm talking about in all human interaction here, you can categorically discard anything the person has to say.
Well, yeah, but there's a certain set of rules that you have to go by. And what I mean by a certain set of rules is, let's say it's legislation. Let's go down the road that it's a piece of legislation. That is something very specific, and I think that the preconceived biases have to be taken out, and you have to look at the entire thing objectively. And even if it's somebody that you agreed with most of the time, that kind of legislation, that you have to say, the first question you have to ask yourself is, what are the unintended consequences of this legislation? I know that you have the four things, but I'm saying when you look at it overall is, what could go wrong with this? What is the thing that they're not trying to figure out, or what could be the unintended consequences of these actions? But to view the bill of the information of itself, just because somebody else brought it forward, voted on by everybody, you can't discount it just because this person brought it forward. Does that make sense?
Well, but by the same token, yes, it does, and I would agree with you in many. That's the way you should analyze specifically a piece of legislation. But by the same token, when you identify that there was a malicious objective in that legislation to begin with, that there is a ulterior motive, that it is designed to have, as opposed to unintended consequences, hidden consequences or hidden results, then I think you can discard it on its face.
Well, no, but and you have a very good point there. But when you are arguing against it, though, you have to argue against the merits of what you're talking about. You can't argue against the merits of the person. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think we got way off from what Chris actually
totally
went away. I didn't even know he wanted to go that way. But you're still on the air, right?
I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Before we go to go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time with hearing you, Alex. Just you sound a little bit muffled. Listen to the radio.
No.
But you have to recognize just by talking to them. You have to decide whether they're some camp followers, true believers, or unwitting mockingbird groupies of people. They're actually bought off, for example, which was the actual problem. And just everybody should start out with the premise that whoever they're talking to is sincere, and then go from there. But then once you recognize that their idea has, and if they are evil, well, then just progress on to the next objective.
That's we got to do a better job of that. in everything. That's you're never going to get there all. Your entire life is going to be, self-evaluation and changing up things to try to, perfect yourself a little bit better. Thanks for the call, Chris, but we do got to take a break here. Again, always like it when Chris calls, by the way. And you know who it is.
Guys, take great care.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, man. We'll talk to you later.
Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, well, let's take a break. When we get back,
Hopefully we'll be a little less existential and vague.
we'll see. We'll see what happens. If it turns on the music, though, I guess we'll work on that part.
And the call from
Push buttons, man.
Push buttons. All right, you're listening to Liberty Underground.
Hi, this is Gary Johnson, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with cameras. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under one half. www.bams.org. www.bams.org.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
If you received a ticket in Florida, contact Oropesa Law Offices, 800-774-9883 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the with being charged with a ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court points and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised in a particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit tacklemyticket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find out more at tacklemyticket.com. Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal at the locations. Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza. P on 6th Street, just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix. And be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
When the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind. Owner's Insurance has been recognized as highest in customer insurance claims experience 5 years in a row by J.D. Power & Associates. For information, go to jdpower.com. Call Row Insurance in Newport Richey today at 727-376-0030.
Welcome back to Liberty Underground on the 1787 Radio Network. This is Adrian Wiley reclaiming my rightful place in the throne of the 1787 Network. I've allowed it to be carried in my absence by my friend Alex Decker. He's done a almost adequate job of doing so, but now we're back to real entertaining and informative talk radio. Isn't that someone else's tagline? Am I stealing someone else's tagline?
You probably are, but
yeah.
What would be?
We're going to take it anyway.
Par for the course.
So I'm happy
Considering it's the Wiley.
Happy to be back in the place where the network that I founded, the radio show that I birthed and
Birthed? They birthed it, though. For real?
Yeah. Raised to an adolescent. Then, sadly, events took me away briefly, but now I'm back here in my rightful place.
Okay, you're out of your mind. You've lost your mind completely. That's what it is. you have. I don't know what you've done over there, but you've drank enough coffee.
the coup has ended.
Yes. Let me go ahead and just get back there. Now, I'm sure a lot of people will think of wild conspiracy theories that are going on with this next story, and I can understand why. But let's talk about something new that the government is coming out with: robot cops.
Just what we need.
There is an article, and this article I'm reading, it's on, I don't even know what the heck, telepresenceptions.com. And it's made a couple different areas, but in 2016, there will likely be a 6-foot-tall robot patrolling the streets and handing out parking tickets. So they're talking about all police robots patrolling the streets, handing out parking tickets. And this is happening in Florida. The Telebot, Florida International University Discovery Lab, has been field tested and is undergoing final
at Florida International. This thing looks like RoboCop. It's a fairly. It's got a weird face on it though.
Well,
I mean, it's like a very Nightmare Before Christmas type Tim Burton looking face to it.
Yeah, it is like Tim Burton did.
Yeah, it's like it's a scary happy thing. But this is just one of several police robots. It seems like law enforcement has taken so many sci-fi tales from to Minority Report and turned them into mission statements, and that seems to be the direction that law enforcement is going. And that's just one of the law enforcement. Now that one, the Telebot, is actually a remote-controlled robot. So there's a law enforcement. Actually controlling, so to speak. It's like a drone, which kind of defeats the purpose. If you've got a cop controlling a robot, just send the cop out there to do the job. It makes no sense to me. What I thought was more interesting, actually, the Nightscope police robot. And folks are talking about deploying these things as early as. So these are really right around the corner. This is not, 2030, 2040, we're going to have these. This is next year. Very well start seeing these on the street. The Nightscope police bot is a fully autonomous robot. It, like Greg was saying, if Daily R2D2 had a baby, that's what this thing would look like.
Yeah, they're too cute to be scary, quite frankly.
It's probably, this one's probably about 4 feet tall, and it's quasi-phallic, and it's got, this one is actually just a spy bot type of thing. It has a suite of sensors, including, of course, video cameras, facial recognition systems, so now it can identify everyone who has a driver's license. It has the tag scanners, so it roams through parking lots just waiting to bust people who have an expired tag or some other traffic outstanding issue. It also has, interestingly enough, WMD sensors. Probably CIA could have used those back in 2005 and 2006, as we were talking about earlier. This thing is completely autonomous. It has no weapon systems yet. That eventually it will. They'll start with, it should have a little, non-lethal, be able to dispense mace.
Little R2D2 taser.
But, this really... that would be funny.
Hold on, that's a good time right there. Like, that'd be... Okay, we shouldn't laugh at that, but okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no,
that's a good time, though.
But, it's funny because I hope they actually deploy the little R2D2 one, because that thing is going to get, for lack of a better term, its ass kicked out there.
Be trying to throw empty cans inside of it. Oh, this isn't a recycling bin?
Right. I mean, I can pretty much guarantee you that the going to happen when they deploy these things is people are going to steal them.
Well,
Sought after item.
There's a button on the top that says emergency push to talk, right?
Right.
Like, it's, this is really a bad idea, though. This is really, really a bad idea. I really don't think we should have these things out there.
Well, they're actually, these things will be roaming neighborhoods. This will be like pops. Individual neighborhoods. They'll be roaming shopping malls, lots, and downtowns. What they want the wave of the future to be, a constant surveillance of everyone, looking for ways to generate revenue automatedly, because you got to figure facial recognition, tag generation. What's going to happen is this robot's going to see you, decide wrong place, decide something else that you did wrong. They're going to record you jaywalking, and you're just going to get tips in the mail. And that's just the practical side of how they're going to use this. Bring into question the violations of our privacy rights of the Fourth Amendment. But I really am looking at, I've always said that you should engage in civil disobedience, and I've always said that you should be peaceful about it. But I would have no problem doing whatever I could to destroy one of these things. I wonder what they're signals, the control signals to it, and all that. Going to be to hack, because I'd really
that's
like
what I
to
was
do.
thinking. Like, somebody might be able to hack these things.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, if it's transmitting instructions and data, they be hacked remotely. But what they're going to do is they're going to set up like geographic, so it only works within maybe a half square. But still, there's got to be a way. I see these things just getting totally destroyed.
Yeah, I can't.
Freedom is irrelevant. Self-determination is irrelevant. You must comply.
Wait, is that the Borg or a daylight?
Yeah, that's the Borg. That's
Okay.
the Borg on that one. I really don't like it. I really, really don't like it. I mean, with this and then the drones, and they're finding ways to do the drones, automated as well, where it's not, a human's not controlling them, but the drones go off and, you program it, and then it goes out and does its thing. The future is coming a lot closer, and I wasn't anywhere near as scared a decade ago with these things as I am now, though.
Well, a decade ago, they were just science fiction. Today, they're actually real, like so many things that we're facing. And we seem to develop technology for technology's sake. We no longer this the right thing to do. And absolutely no one sits back and is this violating anyone's rights other than the people. And our politicians don't do that either.
Well, it's just like the line from Jurassic Park. Your scientists were so busy trying to figure out whether they could, they never asked whether they should.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the position we're in today with technology. And even worse, I talked before about Minority Report. The programming inside these things include predictive behavior algorithms. So not only are they observing everything we do, looking for ways to fine us for everything we do. For every actual crime that this stops, it's going to invade the rights of 1,000 peaceful citizens. But in addition to that, it's going to have the predictive behavior capability. So a computer program inside of a robot that you might be out to commit a crime, which is going to trigger an actual police response. So now, law enforcement officers with actual weapons are going to coming after you, treating you as a target because you happen to look in the shop window the wrong way. And that is going to happen because these predictive behavior algorithms are absolutely subject to law. They are completely imperfect, and you are going to have people that end up being killed because a computer program thought they might be about to commit a crime.
It's Project Insight from Captain America Winter Soldier.
Yeah, it's amazing how life is imitating art, is imitating. I mean, that we see this stuff, beforehand in a movie, and we're like, oh boy, that's scary. I hope they don't do that. And then we find out later on that they've been trying to do that for years and accomplished it.
cautionary tales in pop culture, and they're actually implementing them.
Yeah, they're cautionary tales in the government instruction manual.
Yeah, we got to quit doing that. We need Hollywood to quit coming up with ideas. Like, can you just don't make movies with new ideas right now?
We need Gene Roddenberry back.
Yeah, right. Well, look, this is one of these things where when you talk about how there's all these different laws out there, one of the problems that the police are having right now, even themselves, they don't even know how many. They think everything's breaking the law. Well, when you got a robot out there and all the algorithms and everything else like that, and they're able to capture all this data that normally would, a normal human would not have been able to capture, going through a parking lot, be able to identify every tag and seeing if it's a bad guy or, if this guy's got warrants out or anything like that. But couple that with all the laws that are on the books, they're going to be able to do it.
Right.
And then you're just going to get a ticket in the mail. And then it's easy. It's just you're just fined in the mail, and all they're hoping that most people just pay the fine, because if you do complain, sometimes you don't got to pay the fine.
This is actually a roving red light camera for everything.
Yeah.
it really what it boils down to. And make no mistake, people, these law enforcement agencies are looking at this as a massive revenue, and they are the primary focus of this is not preventing actual crime. It's to ensure that a whole lot more money on fines. And that's where it's going. And unfortunately, even though that's their objective, the unintended consequences will eventually be deadly.
Well, no, and you're right. You're absolutely right about this. In addition to that, when you listen to policy part before, you have to, in order to understand the proper form of policy, you have to realize that you're being lied to. Another one of those examples, that the red light cameras, that's a great example. And they were like, well, this is all about safety and keeping people safe. Well, they've proven through their actions that that's not the case, because they've been caught in several municipalities shortening the yellow times, which would increase the amount of tickets, but it actually increases the amount of accidents too, because you need a certain amount of time to be able to get through a light, because the car's traveling at a certain speed. You have to make sure that you are able to get through there, or you can't react. Like if it went from green to red right off the bat and the other side just went green and they started going, people are going to get in accidents. The study showed that if you increased the yellow time and increased the transfer time, which is the time in between when one goes red and the other one goes green, that would decrease the accidents by 10%. But the problem would also decrease the amount of red light camera ticket amount as well. And so they pay all the money to put the red light camera there. They have to get their money back, or they're considering it, losing money there. It's never about safety. They could have skipped the camera, increased the time, and they would have had the same effect.
Well, and there's another angle here, and I wouldn't be surprised if not long after these are deployed, that you see the courts personifying these. And what I mean by that is like, for example, right now, if you were to strike exactly the same charge as battery on a law enforcement officer. I think before long that if you smack one of these things upside the head because you're frustrated as you're walking the head, whatever.
the chrome dome.
Yeah, the distal point, that you'll be charged with assaulting a police officer. And it's going to be that kind of mindset. Next thing you know, we'll have robots that are part of the thin blue line. It's just, I can't believe that as a society we're allowing government to go down this path.
And next it's going to be Ed 209, and everybody's going to love it.
I don't know what that is.
Well,
Ed 209 was the big robot from Cop with the machine guns for arms.
Yeah.
Right. That's a little scary, by the way.
Scary. It would be. They will eventually begin arming these things with first non-lethal, then eventually lethal weapon systems, and with the drones, they will allow it to make life or death decisions. Based on its programming.
No,
and then they'll develop AI, and we'll have the Terminator scenario where they just kill us all.
No, disassemble Johnny 5.
Well, look, it's It's why the future, though, there's all these bad things happening. The future also looks very good as it relates towards a political philosophy, and the proper role of government in that philosophy, and the dependent culture that the government has created. These things are being recognized now, though. So there was a stat basically that people under 50, there's people under 50 and over 50, is that we're actually winning the crowd that's under 50 right now. We in many ways we've won in that realm. Our problem is that we have to get those people to go out and vote in mass numbers, which is what we talked about last time or a couple weeks back with medical. Is if we can figure out how to get all those people to actually go and vote, we'd actually be able to get something done here. The problem is that all the people above 50 are the ones that are voting right now, and those, for all their talk, for all their, we need to get back to limited government, at the end of the day, they're dependent on the government because they bought into a Ponzi scheme a long time ago, and they're the ones that, if we change it, they're the ones that are going to be affected, the most directly, because they're the ones that are on the take right now of the Ponzi scheme.
Well, also it's a lifetime of conditioning as well. But see, and with the youth, you have almost 180-degree opposite conditioning that's happened, and they see the problems that we face, and they unfortunately feel powerless to change it through the political process. And that's part of it. And I think that's a problem we have to overcome with young voters. Just, hey, they're just don't care about politics. They don't think it has any effect on their lives. But many of them also just think that they have no control over it. So they don't get involved for that reason.
Well, no. I do think that part of what you're talking about, one feeds the other.
Right.
They think they have no control, so they say don't worry about it.
But things like this actually create trigger points for those people.
Yeah.
Everybody has that line in the sand. And, I hit mine 25 years ago, but there's, I think, things like this. The more that they push towards statism, towards totalitarianism, towards infringement upon our rights, the more pushback they're going to get from the youth, and that, it's unfortunate that it has to come that way. Most libertarians just want to get to the point where we can leave us alone. But by intruding on us continuously, they're actually creating a generation of new people who want that objective as well.
Well, no, and we're watching it happen. It's really nice to see. It goes the same with things like the Common Core fight. There's people that have never been politically active that are being told that they can't do their kids' homework, that they have to be in order to be able to help their kids with their homework because of the way in which they're teaching them. A bunch of people that are now pissed off. This isn't do something about this. Same with the red light cameras. Every time that red light camera goes and gives somebody a ticket, a libertarian is born.
That's very true. That's very
There's
true.
a libertarian born every time.
I can't tell you how many people contact me and say, "Hey, I got a red light camera ticket. What do I do?" So that is, that's one issue that here in Florida has really driven a lot of people to understand what's going on and what they can do about it.
Yeah, which is good. By the way, look, in some ways, I'm very angry that they're doing all these things, but at the same time, they're moving up their pace so much that they're helping in actually waking people up.
Right.
That's not a bad thing at the end of the day. You know what I mean? That's kind of a good thing. I'm glad you're waking everybody up. It's good that we're doing this.
Well, the only question to reverse it, how long before it becomes so overwhelming and so totalitarian that we're powerless to stop it? And I hope we've got time, but it's going to take people willing to get involved, willing to get involved in the Libertarian Party to make a difference.
Oh yeah, no, that's absolutely true. I have to agree with you 100% there. All right, well, that's the show this week, guys. Good show. I'm glad everybody was here. Glad Adrian was here. We didn't have nearly the witty banter that we were hoping for.
I haven't decided whether I'm going to. Well, that's because you had a toothache and you've been over there sulking and the whole time.
I'm doing the best I can, though.
Yeah, I got to say you maintained very well. But I'll decide sometime over the weekend whether I'm going to allow you back next week.
Oh, he's funny. He's a funny guy, isn't he? Though he's really funny. I like how funny he is.
Yeah, but looks aren't everything.
Yeah, he kind of looks like evil Adrian today too, with the lacking of shaving for a couple. does look like evil Adrian.
Yeah, my hair is getting a little. Only shaving about once a week. It's very nice to not have to be meticulously groomed all day.
Yes, that's true.
It's very relaxing.
No, I'm glad you're here this week. I thought you added some content to the show, especially because my tooth was killing me though. Like this really sucks.
You mean I carried you?
You were helping. You were helping. That's all we're gonna say. So website, by the way, guys, 1787network.com. If you like what you hear, make a donation. Go to 1787network.com. There's a donate button right there. Make it right there. Next week, maybe we'll have Adrian. Maybe we won't. Maybe he won't make it out of the house alive. You can't tell. I do have road now that are under strict instructions to make sure to take him out when the time's appropriate.
5 minutes on mine.
Oh man,
Better alive.
Better alive. All right, guys. Let's see. We'll look at some music from Greg here, and we'll head it out of here. All right, guys. We'll see you next. Danielle will be back next week though, so that'll help us with the show too.
Live free.